For the Carolinas.
Lockdown!
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
As the great Steven Tyler once said, I'm back in the saddle again. I'm back! I'm back in the saddle again!
Don't do that to yourself. You got a lot to do today.
I know. I got like 2 hours and 57 minutes left, which will be a struggle. So there is no chance. No chance. That's what you got. There is no chance that I don't have like 99.9% energy throughout this entire show. Great 2 days up in Charlotte at ACC kickoff. Thanks again to Tyler Beck and all the folks at the ACC who put that whole thing together. Thanks to Ingles Supermarket for sponsoring that little adventure so we could go up to the Queen City and talk some football with the people who play it and coach it. Fantastic stuff. Thanks to everybody here at Odyssey that pulled it together to let us do that. Thanks to Lonzo for sitting here and running the board. But we are back in studio, and what a day we got for you, ladies and gentlemen. Not only are we chock-a-block full of sports news, talk, and information to get you over the next 2 hours, 55 minutes, and 48 seconds. But we are going to have some really, really cool guests on the show today. Really cool guests. At 1 o'clock, Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, will join us. Rashad ordinarily joins us on Thursdays, but unfortunately, because we were just having some issues, we couldn't get the phone lines working back and forth for more than a few minutes at a time. So we pushed our guest, Rashad Beard, at 1 o'clock. We are efforting Aaron Walker of the Greenville Triumph at 1:30. And, ladies and gentlemen, if you are a wrestling nerd like us, big day on the show today. Because at 1:20, we will be joined by All Elite Wrestling's women's champion, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Then, at 2:20, we will be joined by an absolute icon in professional wrestling, one of the greats, half of one of my favorite tag teams of all time, the Hardy Boys. Matt Hardy, CEO of the Hardy Family Office, will be joining us here on the broadcast as well as AEW gets set for Fight for the Fallen next Wednesday in Charlotte. Did you throw your shoulder out doing delete?
Yeah, I did. I hurt myself a little bit. You get older, you got to be careful with the deletions. DMD is a lot easier.
DMD is much easier, much less. That's how I pick my favorite wrestlers. The one who I can chant with them and not throw a shoulder out doing it. By the way, Zoe, and we're going to talk about this later on in the show, the rumor earlier this week was that CM Punk will be making his way to the AEW. Did you see what other name joined him yesterday?
Daniel Bryan.
Daniel Bryan, or as he will likely go by, Bryan Danielson, will be making his way to AEW if reports are true.
I had that in Fight Club. I guess we didn't quite get to it. So because
we didn't get to the part where Lonzo has to say that one of the biggest names in WWE is jumping ship to my show. That's what we didn't get to.
Well, we probably don't need to have that oversaturation conversation today.
Yeah, we only have two of the biggest names actively going in professional wrestling. Join us on the show today. So that's coming up later on today. But that means we got a whole lot of sports that we need to talk about between now and then. So what do you say, Zoe? Let's just jump into it.
Let's do lunch.
This is a very nutritious lunch. All the food groups are represented.
You guys are here. What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here? Lunch! Lunch!
The lunch breakdown, the three things you have to know before you go start talking sports with your friends, family, coworker, or the dog, whoever you spend your lunch break with, ladies and gentlemen. These are the things that you will need to know about. We start with item number one. Breaking earlier this morning, the Cleveland baseball team, after 106, math is hard, After 106 years being known as the Indians, the name change is official. They began playing under that moniker in 1915, but the ball club announced the name change earlier this morning with a video on Twitter narrated by Tom Hanks, Uncle Tom, America's uncle, ended several months of internal discussions triggered by the national call for a rebranding of the team. The Indians account tweeted from, of course, at Indians on Twitter that they will now be known as the Cleveland Guardians. They are now the Cleveland Guardians. The name change is effective at the end of this season. So if you are a Cleveland Indians fan, say hasta luego to that moniker at the end of 2021.
So as soon as the name was announced, do Cleveland Indians gear and paraphernalia automatically skyrocket in price?
Oh yeah, dude, if you got a throwback Indians jersey, that thing's going to be worth a ton in the near future.
So hang on to it, wait till the price is right, and let it go. Get you some cash.
The organization spent most of the past year whittling down a list of potential names that sat at around 1,200 suggestions a month ago. But the process, the team said, included 140 hours of interviews with fans, community leaders, front office personnel, and a survey of 40,000 fans, which they say quickly accelerated their decision. And the club landed on the Cleveland Guardians.
All right. I'm just looking at the logo. Lame. So if you're going to go away from the name, why are you using the same font? And
I would say I don't think it's the same. This is a little
if
more.
You look
like,
at the Guardians. Yeah, it looks like the same font to me. It does, and maybe you're just trying to say that you're doing it in the spirit of it. But if you're trying to eliminate that name altogether, you should go a totally different direction.
Not the same font. Look, the Indians one is very script, and I can't see to flip my thing over now. It's very script and flowy, and the Guardians is a little. I mean, it's similar, but this one's like more choppy, like it's block.
It's lame, and to me, it doesn't say. A Guardian is protector. I'd be a little concerned about.
Here's the problem. You're right. Guardians are designed to keep people away from taking something, and Cleveland, nobody wants Cleveland. All right. Cleveland is the Peter Criss of cities. Everybody knows it, and who it is, nobody wants to be Peter Criss, Lois, not even Peter Criss.
Why are you going on Peter Criss, man? I mean, without Peter Criss, there'd be no Beth.
Cool.
You don't like the song Beth?
No.
I hope someone from the other side of the hall comes down and beats you about the head and neck area.
I love Kiss. I've seen Kiss like 3 times. I love Kiss. All right, let me rephrase that. Maybe if somebody that wasn't Peter Criss sang Beth, it would be significantly better. Beth is like, I was going to come up with a metaphor, but there's not a better metaphor than when a band lets their drummer sing a song so he feels included. That's what Beth is. The thing that happened for Beth is the metaphor that we use for other situations when you do something special to let a dude feel involved.
Okay, good thing the Eagles never did that, huh?
Who in the Eagles wasn't a tremendous singer? Name any one of them.
Tell us about the drummer.
Don Henley played the drums for a good chunk of Eagles music.
That was a point.
I got you.
That was a point.
It was a joke.
I've
been out of the studio for 2 days,
yeah,
buddy. The brain's at like 50%
So
right now.
Guardians, what are they guarding this from? Coming to Cleveland? Is that what they're guarding this from?
In which case, great.
Yeah, okay. Because
I don't need a lot of help.
I'm guessing you haven't been to Cleveland. There's a good reason why people don't want to go there, and except for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
That's it. That's literally the reason. Literally, there are 2 reasons to go to Cleveland. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is one, and the other is to watch your team go beat Cleveland. That's the 2 reasons. Anyway,
they also have a G with the baseball and wings on it.
Yeah, that's pretty basic baseball design 101 stuff.
I would just say that a minor league team could do better.
I really don't hate the look. It's the red script Guardians with the white trim. The end of the S comes back out and around to make the underline of the word. But so it's got a throwback. It's got a throwback feel. to what the Indians script logo used to look like, but they made it now. It's still cursive, but it's like blocky, right? Instead of like flowing cursive, it's like block, like cursive, but made up of a bunch of, I don't know how to explain it. Just go look at it.
Not that this means anything, but social media, they're more on my side. They don't like it.
Well, so Twitter doesn't like anything
They don't.
ever.
You're right. You're right.
There has never been a thing that's been widely applauded by Twitter.
Twitter is the most negative thing out there. You're right.
It is. And maybe maybe that's part of why I love it. But it is. It's just Twitter is a place where everybody goes to dump on everything. All right, item number 2 on the lunch breakdown.
I hate to do this, but the stream, by the way, you can see us live on the stream, which we didn't mention.
Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate.
That's right. I am not going at the Cleveland Browns. My best friend in the entire world is a Cleveland Browns fan, and he is having a good time right now as well. He should.
Listen, if I may say so, the Cleveland Browns have the best name in all of sports. All right? Best name in all of sports, if I may say so myself. I'm not hating on Cleveland. I'm just saying I don't have any reason to go there.
I was, but see, the thing is, I am from Ohio, so that gives me a license to do that.
Up.
Yeah, it does.
You get the Ohio pass.
Just like if you're from South Carolina, you can crack on anything in South Carolina and you're good.
Keegan said, did you hear the announcement video? Basically, Tom Hanks said that they are, quote, guarding the sport that they love so dearly. Listen, I love Tom Hanks. There's an intern in the Cleveland Guardians department who wrote that and was like, wow, this is brand. Hashtag branding.
Tom Hanks looked at it and went, how much you paying me?
Yeah. Tom Hanks, big Cleveland baseball fan. All right, item number 2 on the lunch breakdown. Hurricanes fan, somebody explain this to me. Like literally anybody explain this to me. The Detroit Red Wings have acquired Alex Nedeljkovic from the Carolina Hurricanes. You know, the rookie phenom that had an incredible year, brought the Carolina Hurricanes to the second round of the playoffs, and the only team they lost to was the team who would eventually go on to win the Stanley Cup championship in 5. Yeah, that Alex Nedeljkovic has been sent to the Detroit Red Wings in return for. My first thought when I saw the headline was, wow, they must have got a haul for this, right? We knew the Canes need a couple of pieces for next year if they want to go deeper on a run. My thought was, if you gave up the phenom in front of the pipes, you must have gotten a haul. You know what they got back for Alex Nedeljkovic, who was so good minding net for the Canes? The 94th pick in the 2021 NHL draft and the rights to veteran backup goaltender Jonathan Bernier. They gave up Nedeljkovic, who got a 2-year, $3 million annual salary hit. Someone explain that to me. Just anybody explain that to me. Please. I am begging you to tell me why this guy who had yes, he got a little cold against Tampa Bay, but look at what Tampa Bay would go on to do. Tampa Bay went on to smoke everybody. Everybody got that smoke from Tampa Bay. You gave up the guy whose only L was to your eventual Stanley Cup champions who dominated, and you got the 91st pick and a backup 32-year-old goalkeeper. Good call, Carolina. Good call. Makes perfect sense. Item number 3 on the lunch breakdown. Reports now coming in hot and heavy about the Texas-Oklahoma SEC rumors. How about this? Being reported earlier in the day by YahooSports.com. That not only is Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC looking more and more likely, less than 48 hours after a report from the Houston Chronicle stated that the two schools were interested in joining. But according to Kirk Bowles of the Austin American-Statesman, quote, and listen to this, quote, prominent Big 12 source tells the American-Statesman The Texas OU move to the SEC is almost done. Quote, they've been working on this for a minimum of 6 months, and the A&M leadership was left out of discussions and wasn't told about it. And quote, move could become official in a week. Now, there's a lot of moving parts here in this discussion, yeah? There's a lot of moving parts here. We've got to keep an eye on how these, I mean, I don't understand. Listen, I know that at top tier levels, there's a lot of people who get paid a lot of money to do a lot of things that we don't know about. But the fact that Texas and OU have been working with the SEC, potentially, for up to 6 months, and a word was spoken about it in the public, is mind-blowing. But there had to be a good reason for that. And one of the reasons for that is because there is already a school in the Southeastern Conference that has been very vocal about keeping Texas out of the SEC. Texas A&M. They're down the street rivals. Remember, A&M came over from that conference. A&M was brought in to provide the SEC a foothold in the great state of Texas, and they have been vocally against Texas moving over to the Southeastern Conference. In order for Texas to pull this off, they needed A&M not to know about it, because A&M would have stood up and absolutely tried to block Texas from joining the conference. So it makes sense that they would have kept this quiet. However, it's still impressive, Lonzo, that they were able to do that they were able to keep it quiet, because I want you to think about the publicity you get if you are the reporter that breaks the story 3 months ago that Texas, Oklahoma, and the SEC have been working together to try to move those two Big 12 schools into the conference. Whoever reports this from the Houston Chronicle got all the credit for it. It makes sense that these schools did what they did to keep it quiet, and the conference kept it quiet. It also puts that Greg Sankey quote that we gave you yesterday, where he said, that's just a report from unnamed sources. You didn't say no, Greg, did you? Now all of a sudden it makes more sense. Why didn't he say no? Because they were, if this report is true.
Yeah, it is amazing that there are no leakers. There are leakers
Everywhere.
Look around you. Chances are you're working with a leaker, or you are a leaker.
Turn to your left. Now turn to your right. One of those three people is a leaker.
In every single place, there's someone who wants to give out that information so they can be a source. Is it a okay pride to be a source? You can't tell anybody. I guess you yourself know the source. But there's no leaks in all this time. That 2021, if this is true. Let's do this. Let's run to a break. When we come back, we've got some ideas of what will and what needs to happen. By the way, the people are telling me they can't hear you in the stream, though. I don't know. Can they hear you now in the stream? It's because, which has been said many times on this show,
somebody keeps touching the buttons.
Is Rob says this about himself a lot, which I don't agree, but in this case, it's absolutely true about me. I'm an idiot.
That's my line. That's my line. Quick break. What needs to happen, and what are the dollars and cents on the paper if Texas and Oklahoma were to move over? We'll look at that next on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Prisma.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your computer and tablet at ESPNUpstate.com.
Prisma Healthy
in upstate.
It is the Rob Brown Show. By the way, you hear me counting every now and then because I've been asked, why do you start some segments by just saying a number randomly? It is because I turn my own mic on and off coming into and going out of segments, as well as, when required, deploying the tactical cough button. And sometimes I just begin talking. I spent 14 years without control of my own microphone. And now that I have it, I forget that sometimes. So sometimes I forget to turn my mic on. I start ranting into it. I hear nothing. And then I just count because it makes Lonzo laugh.
Or it could be that you believe that it's the producer's job to turn your mic on and off.
It happens
Well,
once
No, I
to
just
3 times a show.
I wasn't accusing you. I was going to accuse another show.
All right. So we were talking about the Big 12 story. Reports coming out of yahoosports.com that Big 12 officials have met to discuss the future of that conference if Oklahoma and Texas were to move to the SEC. The big question is, how does that happen? How does it happen that Texas and OU, like, not how as in like, how dare they? Dare they because there's more money to be made. That's why they dare. Most people who do anything dare to do it because either they enjoy doing it or because there's money to be made. One of those two things. All right. So what would happen for Texas to move over? Well, they have a contract with the Big 12. And the Big 12 has already said that they expect Texas and Oklahoma to hold up to their end of the contract. The Big 12 bylaws require any withdrawing member to give the league at least 18 months notice. Now, that would, I assume, likely happen. You would likely have Texas and Oklahoma play this year and probably next year in the Big 12 before making the move over. But there is also a hefty departure fee if a school was to leave the conference. It is called a commitment buyout fee. And according to the bylaws, it is an amount equal to the sum of distributions that otherwise would be paid to the school during the final 2 years of its membership. So basically, you don't get the money that you would have gotten from the conference for 2 years, and you owe the conference that much money in return. The Big 12 has been paying the schools about $38 million to each of its members, third most amongst the Power 5 conferences. About $38 million a year has been given to the schools within the Big 12, which would mean that if Texas and Oklahoma were to bail, they would owe the Big 12 in the ballpark of $76 million apiece. Now, let's add a third player to this, Lonzo. Third player to this is going to be ESPN, who, of course, own the rights to the SEC net. The SEC is playing its exclusive football games on ESPN. ESPN's going to get involved. Lonzo, you think ESPN's got 76 mil sitting around somewhere that they would be willing to fork over on behalf of Texas and or Oklahoma? You're looking at a grand total of what, about $152 million. So let's call it 152. You think ESPN would come off $152 million to move Texas, Oklahoma into the SEC and make it not only become, I think, arguably the first super conference of what will likely be many to come, but I think at that point, like it or not, the SEC by default becomes the best conference in college football and the conversation is over. You think ESPN's got $52 million sitting out there right now that they would give to Texas and Oklahoma to pay that buyout fee to boost the SEC that much more? I'm
guessing the answer to that would probably be yes, because they're not going to look into making that move and cost themselves money. I mean, it's all about money making that move in the first place. So I'm sure they have some reassurances somewhere that the money that's going to cost them to leave will be made up to them and maybe come out with some profit from it.
100%. 100%. Without a doubt. I think when it comes down to it, you're looking at a no-brainer for ESPN. I think the Southeastern Conference becomes the dominant conference in all of college football, and the conversation is effectively over. If you're Oklahoma and you are Texas, you've got resources. The only question mark that I have about this, so I know SEC fans, Mark Ryan and Diesel put up a poll on Offsides that said, if you're Greg Sankey, do you invite Texas and Oklahoma? And SEC fans overwhelmingly said no. Overwhelmingly said no. I wouldn't invite them. Which I get that. My question is twofold. One, why? Why would you say no to that? If your answer is it's already hard enough to win the conference, keep in mind that with a 12-team playoff coming down the pipe, and I think at this point we're all pretty convinced that it is. With a 12-team playoff coming down the pipe, not winning the SEC is not a death sentence for the playoffs anymore. Remember, the 12-team playoff format that's been proposed and I would bet you is likely to be accepted is the top 6 conference champions plus 6 at-large teams, which means you could have theoretically, Zoe, depending on how the records fell and how the voters fell, and keep in mind, I am convinced, I assume most of you guys are in with me, most of us are convinced that who gets into the playoffs is largely determined based on a financial basis. There's a lot of financial gain to be had by having 3, hell, maybe 4 SEC teams in the playoffs at the same time. There's money on the table there. This decision is driven by it. There's very little, at least, that I can come up with off the top of my head. I'm having a genuinely hard time trying to figure out why this doesn't come across as a good idea for the Southeastern Conference. Your conference is better. The only drawback here is you've got to realign your divisions unless you just stick Texas in one and Oklahoma in the other, make them each other's rivalry. Stick Texas in the West so you get a Texas A&M game every year. Stick Oklahoma in the East, even though they're the Westest team in the conference. Stick them in the East. You make Texas their cross-divisional rival every year. So there's 2 of the 3 problems taken care of. I don't know who you come up with as Oklahoma's in-division rival, maybe Mizzou, since they're closest, and go from there. But at the end of the day, if you have 2 options, which is acquire 2 of the most profitable college football programs in the nation in Texas and Oklahoma, or gosh golly gee willikers, we have to figure out divisional realignment. I think that decision's pretty easy, Lonzo. I think it's pretty easy. Cha-ching. The only question is, what happens to the Longhorn Network, right? Does the SEC say, Texas, you're in, but you have to fold the Longhorn Network into the SEC network? Because ESPN has the rights to that too. Or do the Longhorns get to keep the Longhorn Network, but forfeit their cut of whatever comes out of the SEC network? Or the SEC network is more profitable, or do the Longhorns get to keep the Longhorn Network, and the SEC only pays them the difference between the Longhorn Network and the SEC network? So if the Longhorn Network makes them $50 million a year and the payout from the SEC net is $75 million a year, the SEC would only give $25 million to Texas to allow them to keep the long. But here's the thing, Lonzo, these are all technicalities, formalities that are super easy to iron out if the other option is millions of dollars more coming into the conference from Texas and Oklahoma.
You know what? I would think that the SEC network would want the Longhorn Network to continue. But I don't know. I mean, you're right. It really comes down to money. Well, let's face it. Who watches the Longhorn Network other than Texas? I wonder if the Texas people even watch that. I haven't stayed on it more than a couple of minutes. It's one of those things with the sports packages. It's included, and you're like, yeah, I wish I could, individually take that off of there. I guess I could if I just cut the cord and did what some people do and just go on what you do. This comes down to what we said before. This is money. I swear it sounds like a done deal. It just absolutely sounds like a done deal. But if it happens in the next couple of weeks, so are they included in this season? Or is it they have to wait till next year because of scheduling?
They may have to wait for 2 years because, again, if they follow the bylaws that they agreed to say, you got to give the conference 18 months notice. That's 2 more seasons. Now, if you're the SEC, it's probably worth the wait, right? Probably worth the wait.
How do we know they haven't already given notice? They've been able to keep this a secret this long. They may have already given notice.
I would be shocked if they gave the Big 12 notice already. And it makes sense that if these conversations were taking place between Texas and Oklahoma in the Big 12 and they were taking place in the dark, that those 3 entities would be able to keep it out of the spotlight. If the Big 12 knows about it, there's 0 chance they don't shine a light on it, right? 0 chance they don't call and shine a light on it. And the reason I think they don't call and shine the light on it is to try to get Oklahoma fans and Texas fans to shame ding the Horns and the Sooners into staying in the Big 12 if they believe that Big 12 fans, Texas and Oklahoma fans, would rather stay in conference than bail. The Big 12 has a reason to bring this to light. Texas and Oklahoma have a reason, and the SEC have a reason to keep it in the dark. 844-477-3776, 844-GSP-ESPN. Text us on the Ingles Market text line at 71307, 71307. Tweet us at The Rob Brown Show, at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo on Word, and at ESPN Upstate. Quick break back after this. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's ESPN Upstate.
Nice.
Love that.
Apparently, the current situation, which caused me to go downstairs, will not be rectified until tomorrow at some point. It's what the texts were about earlier, wanting to know when I got here.
Oh, you talking about Saturday?
Yeah, to allow someone in the building to work on said problem.
Lovely.
So how was the NASCAR Hall of Fame?
Dude, great. Absolutely a blast. So $34, which is an upgraded ticket. It's like $25 to get in. $34, all day in the museum, as long as you want. Cool little souvenir. The ticket was like a press pass with a NASCAR Hall of Fame lanyard for it, which I collect those from all the stuff we do.
Yeah, me too.
And they have a racing simulator, right? So they have old stock cars that they cut the guts out and they put a simulator. So you sit in a stock car. And they got a screen by the windshield, steering wheels, shifters, gas brake, and they put you against there's I think 12 of them. And you sit in the stock car with 11 other guests of the museum. And they put us that day we were racing Dover. They put us on the racetrack and you actually run a NASCAR race. And so for $34, you could run unlimited. I spent an hour and a half in the museum and an hour and a half running race after race after race on the track. I ran 5 races because they're like 20 laps long, right? Ran 5 races. I won 3. I lost 1 because another guest spun me out at the finish line. And I lost 1 because I won 2 in a row after my loss. And a guy who worked there jumped in there to beat me, and he beat me by like a half a second at the finish line. I'm glad you asked that, Lonzo. Now I'm going to talk about it on the air and tell you all the things I just told you off of it.
Which might be the reason why I asked you off of it,
Good
because I was interested.
Good call. Visited the NASCAR Hall of Fame yesterday in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, if you get a chance to visit the NASCAR Hall of Fame, do it. Do it. It is a surprisingly cool experience. I'm a NASCAR fan. And I'll be real with you. When I walked in, there was a part of me that was like, I don't know, man. I mean, I love NASCAR. I really do. I like NASCAR quite a bit. But you know, how good can you make a Hall of Fame out of Cars Go Fast Turn Left? The answer is super legit. First room you walk into, Lonzo, is called Glory Road. And it's a mock racetrack that wraps around this big oval room, and it wraps around the wall. And they have the car that Dale Sr. was driving when he won his first title, the car that Richard Petty was driving when he won his last title, the car that Jeff Gordon rode in when he won his first title. And they wrap up and they go back, Bill Pearson, Chuck Yeager, all these guys, all these legends, they have the cars that they won their first or their last or their biggest title. And they're just all right there, and you can take pictures of them, including, Lonzo, and this was cool, the fabulous Hudson Hornet was in there as well, like the OG Hudson Hornet. So you just walk by and you could look at these cars. Denny Hamlin's championship ride from when he won the 500. I mean, just awesome. Then you go up. They have another room that is the NASCAR the actual Hall of Fame. And they have salutes to all these drivers. And you can pick up this little receiver and hold it to your ear and hear highlights of their racing career and interviews from them over the years. They have another room that actually gives you background into NASCAR. So it's kind of cool. They have one room where you start and they show you the chassis, the actual body of a stock car, and what it looks like before they do work to it. And then you move over and they show you an actual engine, an actual NASCAR engine. And then you go over and they show you the aerodynamics of the body and how they test them. And then you move over and they show you how to paint the car and how they put the car. So there's one room where you move from left to right and they show you how a NASCAR stock car is constructed. Then you go over and they have an old NASCAR hauler. So you can actually, we all see the big semis that the trucks are stored in. You actually walk through one and see what they look like on the inside. You go through that. They have a pit crew challenge where you actually get to go.
I was going to ask you about that. So I
they
figured they would have one of those.
So you go out and you jack up the car. You do the lug nut changer, the air-powered lug nut changer. You change the lug nuts. Then you have another person who runs the gas. He puts the gas in, pulls the tank away, and then you lower the car back down, and you can time yourself against the real NASCAR pit crew. It's really cool. Then, and this was my favorite part, they have stock cars, old stock cars in one part. There's, I think there's 6 of them. And you get into the stock car. One person on the left side, one on the right side with a divider down the middle. So in each side, you're sitting in an old stock car that they gutted. And the windshield has been replaced by a screen, and they have a driving simulator, right? And 12 guests of the museum get into these 12 spots. And they put you, it's iRacing. We talked about iRacing during the pandemic last year. So what they were using to drive these virtual races on iRacing, they have iRacing into these old stock cars, right? You get in the stock car and you actually get to race 11 other guests of the museum on one of the NASCAR stock car races. We drove Dover, which was awesome. And
are there tension on the steering wheel and all that kind of stuff?
When the only thing it doesn't do is angle, but like when you come out of a turn, the steering wheel shakes. The torque on the wheel, like if you're turning into a turn and your car starts to slide, the wheel fight. You have to wrestle the wheel to keep it where you want it. If another car hits your car, the whole simulator shakes on you. It's cool, man. So I think we ran 20 laps around Dover, full out race. So jumped in. Won the first race from third spot on coming off pit row. Won the first race. Second race, last lap, white flag. I got a dude who is cool. I mean, this guy came in, Lonzo, a Hell's Angel NASCAR fan. I mean, denim leather jacket, big bushy beard. This guy was clearly a lifelong NASCAR fan, right? Dale Jr. or Dale Sr. tattoo on the arm. Like I couldn't make this dude up. He and I are going at it. He was in the first race. I beat him. We're in the second race. I got him beat. His front quarter panel is next to my outside right quarter panel. 100 yards from the start-finish line at Dover, we're on the straightaway. This joker puts his tire into mine and spins me into a wall about 25 yards short of the finish line. He wins. I slide across in second. So I get out, and I've learned between this and the Media Olympics last Tuesday at Clemson, my sense of competition is too high for an average white dude. All right. I get too competitive about dumb things. I came out of the car and this dude looks and he goes 1-1. And I'm like, you son of a, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah. But the best part about that means he's into it too. And he's ready to go.
So I'm walking out and the guy running the machine goes, dude, good race. Jump back in, do it again. I'm like, let's go. So we run it back. Third race, I beat him. So I'm 2-1. Fourth race, I beat him. I'm 3-1. The dude gives up. He's got him and his family leave. So now I've run 4. I've won 3. Climbing the car for one more. Museum's about to close. Guy's like, hey, man, we got time for one more race if you want to run it. Like trying to talk me into the race. I'm like, yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Let's get in. Get in the simulator. I start from, I think, third place, get by the guy in first and second, get up to first. All right. Got about 10 laps left. I have smoked the field. This is a guaranteed dub for me. All right. Guaranteed dub. All of a sudden, I'm in the Kyle Busch 18, Eminem's Toyota Camry. All of a sudden, 10 laps to go. I look in the rearview mirror because it's cool, right? On the simulator, you've got a rearview mirror and then you've got a little side mirror and you can see, all right, I'm running. Cross the line, 10 laps to go. And all of a sudden, here comes this blue car in my rearview mirror. And I'm like, what? I thought I was smoking the rest of these chumps, man. Every time around, I'm lapping cars. Here comes this blue car. And every lap, he's making up like 2 or 3 seconds on me. Every lap, 2 or 3 seconds. It's only a 22-second lap time. So after about 6 laps, this dude's in my rear view mirror. Now, I'm playing defense, dude. This is my last lap of my last race. I'm either winning or I'm taking everybody out. Ain't nobody finishing this race. All right. So I'm playing defense against this guy. Fills up my rearview mirror. I'm jogging left, jogging right. It's hard to come out of the turns, right? No gas in the turns because that'll it'll fishtail out on you. Coming in every turn, he's making up ground on me every turn. So we get to the last lap. This dude's on me. I'm playing defense hard as I can. I'm like, man, if he goes up, I'm going up. He's either going to spin me in a wall and I'm going to take him out with me or I'm going to win. That's my only 2 options. We get into the last turn, turn 3 and 4 on the last lap. My car slides up the track, up to the wall. I'm like, no! This dude gets the nose of his car just to the inside of mine. Nothing I can do, right? Because if I go down, he's going to spin me. I'm out. He's going to keep going. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to wait till he gets even with me, and then I'm going to just push him down onto the apron of the track and try to outrun him from there. He gets up even with me. I push him. He pushes back. We got to see the replay. We're pushing into each other. Lonzo, he beats me by 0.2 of a second. I mean, that much. 3 inches, his car beats me across the line. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I get out of the car, and I'm thinking that other dude had to come back to get me. I get out of the car. It's the guy who works there and runs the simulator all day long. He jumped in to race me. I get out of the car. He gets out of his car. I look immediately because I know what car beat me. I look at him. He gets out of the car, and he goes, hey, humble up. I'm like, oh, you
Really?
ass.
Really?
Yeah. Gets out of the car and goes, hey, humble up, and laughs. And I'm like, dude. So I go talk to him, and he goes, hey, I'll be real. He's like, after you won the third, I had to put you in your place. And I'm like, you know what? I respect that. I respect that. Now, that being said, immediately texted Courtney, right? Immediately texted the lady friend and was like, hey, cancel everything for the rest of the year that we have to spend money on because I'm buying an iRacing simulator because I'm going back to Charlotte. I want my title back. I want it. Hey, humble up. 844 GSP ESPN. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate. All right. I was going to try to make it, but I'm not. Do I have time to run? Kevin Miller jumped in the Facebook chat and said, "Is rowing really a sport?" Yeah. You ever done it?
Yeah, it
sucks
for sure. And
it is hard.
Earlier, while it was on, even though I think it's a replay, we saw the United States, one of the women win.
What, first heat, I believe.
I couldn't tell if it was a championship race or not, but she definitely won the heat.
Opening ceremonies tonight. We'll talk about that coming up. 1 o'clock, Rashad Beard's going to join us. Then at 1:20, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, is going to join us. At 1:35, Aaron Walker, the Greenville Triumph, will join us. At 2 o'clock, straight up, Casey Milton of the Spartanburgers will join us. Then at 2:20, Matt Hardy will join us on the show. Talk AEW wrestling. You can't do it anymore. You hurt yourself too bad?
Yeah, I'm not doing it again.
Rashad Beard's next up on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
A golf cart in the first break.
Alrighty.
Oh, come on. Where'd it go? Back on it. Hey, speak to Rashad, please. Hey, man, how you doing today? No, not yet. I need actual. I need substance. I need it actually in my hands. I need it in my stomach before you change my mind. All right, hang on. Hey, Rob.
Hey, Zoe.
Rashad is standing by.
I heard that, and you made small talk.
Yeah, but he initiated it.
It doesn't matter.
About the barbecue, And I'm not going to get to see him because I don't get to go. So, because they had to do this stupid thing on Saturday.
My dude on Wednesday night was too busy to come out and grab a drink with his boy, but we're going to have him back on the show anyway. Rashad Beard, host of the Panthers Nation podcast, joins us right back here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Rashad, what up, fella?
What's going on, Rob, man? Sorry I couldn't join you Wednesday night, man. I just couldn't make it happen, but appreciate the invite. And next time we will catch up for sure, 100%.
Well, the good news, Rashad, the good news is we are a week and a day away from training camp getting opened up. Next Saturday at Wofford College, Rob Brown and my partner in crime, Mark Ryan, will be hosting a special 2-hour kickoff show from 4 to 6 at Wofford College, presented by our friends at TLC Motors here in the upstate. We get to go eyeballs on. Rashad, are you gonna make it down on Saturday to actually get on the air in person with us?
If you guys are extending the invite, I will be sure to be there. I will make it happen.
Love it. Love it. Couldn't get him to come out in his own damn city on Wednesday, but he'll drive 2 hours to jump on the air with me.
It's because I wasn't there. If I was there, he would come out.
Oh,
there.
yeah, obviously.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's my fault, Ron.
Lonzo, big fan of the nightlife in the big city. Absolutely.
I like the boogie.
That's funny.
Rashad Beard joining us here on the Rob Brown Show on ESPNC. Look, we're going to talk football in a second, Rashad, but before we do, I gotta hand some credit to Carolina and the Panthers, specifically their branding department. I don't know if you saw this, but at the NHL draft, the folks in charge accidentally referred to the Carolina Hurricanes hockey team as the Carolina Panthers. And when they did, the Panthers took to Twitter and changed their profile pic to be the Carolina Hurricanes logo, but with the teal and black of the Carolina Panthers with hashtag new profile pic, after the Hurricanes changed their logo from the Hurricanes logo to a crudely drawn version of the Panthers logo. I got to tell you, Rashad, we have seen the importance of branding. We've seen the importance of getting people on board with your social media style. What a great move by the Panthers there, man.
Yeah, listen, I did see that. I did see the swap, logo swap. And I got to say, man, and this is being completely unbiased, but the Panthers social media team has to be the best social media team in the NFL by far. Like, it's not even close. Those guys are tremendous. They do a great job when it comes to schedule releases, just interacting with the fans, any kind of topics. They troll the other teams. They go get in these little battles, NFC South battles with the other social media accounts. And it's great, man. They do a wonderful job. And listen, I agree with you, man. Social media nowadays, it goes a long way. You'd be surprised how many fans you can gain just based off of your social media. So they do a great job, and kudos to them. I also saw the jersey swaps too. They did the little jersey swaps, put the Panthers uniforms in the black and red, and it was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. That was good stuff.
I kind of wanted to expand that and expand on that a little bit. As far as reaching out, so we're down here in Greenville, we're down here in Spartanburg, all around the upstate. We know the Panthers are coming down our way for training camp, which is a great way to reach out to the folks in this area. I suspect that the week after training camp, we're probably going to see a little uptick in the amount of Panthers gear we see rocked around the GVL and the Berg. But how do you think, if you were going to grade out the Panthers' interaction with their fans? I know you said the social media team, and it is very good. I mean, I'm obviously a little biased towards the one down in New Orleans, but I would argue that Carolina and New Orleans both have genuinely embraced what it means to be a social media team that gives their fans something to want, something to look forward to. How do they do that in real life? I mean, do you see the Panthers having a good outreach operation in and around Charlotte? I was thinking about it the other day. I don't see a lot of Panthers, billboards and advertisements down here in Greenville, but last year was the pandemic season. They didn't have a lot of fans in the stands, so there maybe wasn't a huge reason to advertise ticket sales. How would you say the Panthers have done on an in-person basis at reaching out to their fan bases around the Carolinas?
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, it's difficult because we have this internal battle, right? North Carolina, South Carolina. And South Carolina, it's just difficult because the team plays in North Carolina, albeit right on the border. And so we tend to claim, the Carolina Panthers, but it's two states, one team, right? So they tend to, I think they do a good job at trying to reach across the border. Obviously, you got the headquarters going up to Rock Hill. I think that is going to go a long way to kind of bridging that gap. But you also got to think that, the upstate and South Carolina, it's just a lot of college entrenched. It's just really entrenched in college football. So you got Clemson, you got USC, and there's a lot to cheer for, right? Clemson is doing great. They do great all the time. I think the more you see the W's on the board from the Carolina Panthers, that's going to go a long way to help building that fan base. At the end of the day, we want to see the Panthers win. And once you see those W's coming along, I think that's when you'll see more fans come aboard. And I think you'll see more Carolina Panthers gear. Right now, we've been bad over the past 3-4 years. So it's just been difficult. But I do, again, I got my ears to the street as far as what the Panthers are doing. And again, they do these the Play 60 stuff with all the schools. So they're doing a good job. I think they're doing what they can to kind of bridge the gap. But at the end of the day, it just boils down to W's, right? If you're not winning, you're not putting up a good product, nobody's going to watch. Nobody's going to put on Panthers gear. So we got to get the W's. Get the W's, and everything else will come along.
Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, joining us here in the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Yeah, look, I think that's true of pretty much every team everywhere, right? I have said many times over my career that at the end of the day, the best cure to any problem that you have in sports is winning, right? I mean, that's it. Matt Rule said when he got here that he's not here for any reason other than winning since he's taken over. We've gone through the draft. We got Sam Darnold in the fold now, so you got your QB future. We know what Run CMC can do, a good receiving core, defense being tinkered and tooled with a little bit to try to find a little more consistency on that side of the football. Have you felt, has there been an attitude shift for the Carolina Panthers over the last couple of years, going from a team that was kind of considered third, fourth best in the division routinely? Have you felt an attitude shift within the organization in the way that players and coaches are talking and walking?
It's tough. Not really, because I think you got Matt Rule. You got him year one. I don't think he's been here long enough for me to see that. And with COVID, it's difficult, right? You come in, pandemic year, that's your first year as the head coach. I haven't seen the attitude shift yet. I haven't seen them embody a talented team. I haven't seen them own it yet. You know, it's one thing to come out and say, yeah, I want to win, but I haven't seen them come out and just own it. I haven't seen that yet. And so, I think it's going to be a momentum thing. I mean, we see what's going on. You take a look at the schedule, and you look at those first 3 games, and they are winnable games. So you got to come in there. You got to make a statement. And I think that's going to go a long way to convincing me whether they're going to walk the walk and talk the talk. But right now, I haven't seen it yet. That's just speaking truthfully. I haven't seen them go out there and say, yeah, we're about to own this. We're about to take over. And that's an attitude thing. You have to own it. You have to talk it. You have to walk it. And I just haven't seen that yet.
What do you think it's going to take? I mean, is it just I've heard a lot of people say a winning attitude. You have to win to develop. You have to learn a winning attitude. I mean, you can't have a winning attitude without understanding what it takes to win. What do you think it takes for Carolina to kind of shift gears and start looking at themselves as a competitor that has that winning attitude? Or is it just something that's going to come when they start stringing dubs together?
Yeah, I really think it's going to come together when they start to string those W's. And again, you look at the schedule. You've got the Jets, you got the Saints, and you've got the Texans. Those are winnable games. With the Saints being in the situation they're in, with Michael Thomas just announced what's going on with him. Those are winnable games. And so I think that swagger, you'll see it. It's amazing. It's amazing what comes along. And I'll just go back to 2015 when we had the 15-1 season. I mean, those guys were really feeling. I mean, you talk about taking the pictures on the sideline. That whole the whole thing that we did, it was just a swagger that Cam Newton had, that team had, that you weren't going to beat them. And they went out there, they walked it, they talked it, and they got smacked in the Super Bowl, obviously. But I mean, during the season, they were tough, and it was just a swagger that Cam Newton brought to the team, and they were playing so well, and the defense was playing well. And it's going to be a thing. It's going to be a momentum. Getting those 3 wins, I think the first three games, you're going to see a lot from that team. And if they can string together 3 wins, I think you'll start to see it from that point. And if they can string together wins when it gets tougher, then you'll start to see the swagger and then start to own it and start to walk a certain way. They'll start to talk a certain way. And then I think the team will start believing in themselves that they're actually pretty good and they're not just a young team that team's just going to walk over. And so, again, I think it's going to be they have to go out there and win, and then you'll see it come along down the season.
Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, joins us here on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. So on Wednesday, Wednesday morning, there was a Yahoo Sports report that came out that said that there were 4 NFL teams that were still actively pursuing Deshaun Watson. The Denver Broncos were one, the Miami Dolphins were one, and Carolina was listed as one of teams not just still interested in, but actively pursuing Deshaun Watson. Look, Sam's the guy, no doubt about it, but I think anybody would acknowledge that in a perfect world where Deshaun had no issues, they would still be willing to take that contract on and figure it out down the road. But with everything Deshaun's going through, with the Carolinas kind of having their own history with the previous owner, et cetera, do you believe that report that Carolina is actively pursuing Deshaun from the Texans? Or do you think, as I do, that Yahoo article was just kind of a little bit of clickbait to generate some traffic to the site?
I don't know, man. It's a hard one because you talk about what Scott Fitterer and when Scott Fitterer first came in, he said, look, we're going to be in on every deal. We're going to be in on every single deal. And by God, they have been. I mean, every player that's been available, the Panthers have been somewhat, you've heard some sort of connotation that we are tied to that player, or we're interested in that player. So I think there is a small ounce of truth to I think we would, if the opportunity presented itself, and going back to your earlier point about bridging the gaps between the states, right? What better way to bridge that gap than bringing a former Clemson quarterback, right? You want to get the upstate involved and have them come out, go and get Deshaun Watson, see what happens. So I really think that they're going to be interested, and if it presented itself and the numbers worked out, I think they would. And again, there's no long-term commitment to Sam Darnold, so we can walk away from his deal. We can, there's nothing tied to him long-term. Not only that, Taylor Moton's extension frees up cap for this year. So we have about $25 million in cap space this season. So what are we going to use it on? So I think where there's smoke, there might be a little bit of fire here. I'm not sure. I don't want to speak like it's going to happen tomorrow. But I think the possibility, if it presented itself, I think we would absolutely bring in Deshaun Watson.
All right, last question. We'll cut Rashad loose. Taylor Moton gets that contract signed after last time we spoke to you. I think actually it was like the same day or the day after. But anyway, same day. So the big offensive tackle gets that contract done. I know you've mentioned a number of times that was kind of the priority thing that was left for you to get done was to get Taylor signed. He is in the fold now. How relieved are you about that?
Oh, dude, I'm ecstatic. Again, we have not had a consistent offensive line in years. I think this is a guy that has been consistent since the day we drafted him. He's come in, he's done his job quietly. There's been no hoopla. He's not a guy that's just a one-year wonder that he had a great year on his contract year. And this guy's been playing well since we've gotten him. And since he's taken over the starting position at right tackle, he's been playing well. And so you got to reward a guy like that. And you saw Ryan Ramczyk get his deal. And, we drawed it out to the very, very last moment. But it happened, and you got it done, and I'm ecstatic. And now you look at it. You look what we did in the draft. If things were to work out the way they should, and ideally you just drafted your potentially starting right guard in Brady Christensen. If you don't slide him a tackle, you play him at guard, right? And then you also drafted Deontay Brown, who could play left guard. You put him at left guard. Both are on rookie deals, right? And then you got David Moore as an unrestricted free agent. So you have, when his deal expires in 2023, I believe, he will be a restricted free agent. So if he becomes the starting center, you have 3 guys on rookie contracts. You're only playing one guy, only paying one guy big money on that offensive line. You turn around and draft a guy in a left tackle next year, and then you're talking about an offensive line that's going to be together at least until 2024. That's how it's supposed to work. That's how you build an offensive line. You build continuity. So I really love that they locked him in. I think it was a great, great, great deal on both sides. I think we didn't overpay. We didn't underpay. I think Moton should be happy with what he got. The guarantee money's great. We didn't take too big of a cap hit. It helped us out this year. Matter of fact, So I love it. I love the deal. Worked out for both sides, and I'm happy.
Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. Follow them on Twitter at Panther Nation PC. Rashad, my man, good to talk to you, buddy. We'll see you next week at camp, pal.
All right, bro. Appreciate the invite.
Always. See you then. Back after this with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, AEW Women's Champion. Joins us next on The Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
Off card.
The 2021 Upstate Golf Cart is on sale now. 9 rounds, 9 beautiful courses, just $99. No better way to spend your summer than out on the course with the La Familia, with your amigos. Get out there and get yours now. Go to upstategolfcart.com. See all 9 courses. I have played 3 on my card so far, and you better believe there's another one coming up very, very soon for me. I have taken a handful of friends and family out golfing every time we just are. It's bonding, people. Don't you want to bond with people? Of course you do. So get yours now. Go to upstategolfcart.com, upstategolfcart.com. Get yours, just $99. Grab one for your friends and family as well. They'll love you for it. It's the 2021 Upstate Golf Card.
All right. I have moved a couple things
Okay,
to make this only be 2 minutes.
perfect. Thank you. I'll take it. Rashad heard us say the outro and he just DM'd me. He's like, yo, tell Britt Baker I said, what up?
I could hear her in the background, and she's exactly what I expected.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
Love
yeah.
Also, our promo tweet.
proficiency or customer service. Find your next great hire at Indeed.com/credit. There's nothing worse than coming home from
30 seconds.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate, emanating live from the heart of the upstate of South Carolina, and just a few miles down the road from where next Wednesday, All Elite Wrestling will promote Fight for the Fallen in Charlotte, North Carolina. Joining us now on the phone lines, she is the AEW Women's Champion. She is Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, joining us on the phone. Dr. Baker, welcome to the show. It's great to have you, ma'am.
What's going on? I'm happy to be here. I'm glad you got the DMD down.
Of course. Well, I mean, I feel like I've seen what happens to people that don't, and it's not a risk I'm willing to take, Dr. Baker. Uh-oh. Did we lose her? This is not ideal, Lonzo. We're about to infuriate Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and I'm not a big fan of that. I need you to know that I was nervous enough to talk to Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and now we've lost her. We're working on getting her back on the phone here in just a second. But, of course, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, is your current AEW Women's Champion as AEW gets set next Wednesday, a week I guess a week from past Wednesday. That's how weeks work, to do Fight for the Fallen. up in Charlotte, North Carolina. Dr. Britt Baker has been I think an integral part. I think we have Dr. Britt Baker.
You know what I think it is? I think Vicky Guerrero somehow got a hold of it.
It's obviously.
Oh, it was too. I'll tell you what it was. This happens all the time. It was too much star power for the phone line to handle, so it exploded and it dropped the call. But we're back.
It's something I assume that you are very used to, Dr. Baker, based on knowing that's exactly what happened.
All the time. I should have warned you ahead of time. That's on me. I'm sorry.
It happens. It happens to the best of us. And now that's an excuse I'll claim when I screw up as well. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. So, Dr. Baker, I want to start with AEW Women's Champion. We have watched the growth of AEW since the announcement a couple of years back. You guys have, in the past couple of weeks, been topping 1 million viewers a week for, I think, 3 weeks in a row now. You guys have popped 1 million viewers for Dynamite. To be a part of that, some people think to be the part of that has caused that. What's that like for you to know that every time that the role model appears on TV, you are doing it in front of over 1 million people?
You know, it's pretty surreal because for me, 2 years ago, I was wrestling in like high school gymnasiums in front of that it's the big stage. It's surreal, but it's really cool. And I feel like I'm right where I belong. I genuinely feel that I'm the star, that I move the needle. And the numbers don't lie. That's not just me, talking BS. Look at the ratings. I'm at the top. And it's the DMD. That's why a lot of people are tuning in and not changing the channel.
All right. Last week you defeated Nyla Rose, which I think there's probably some people out there who doubted that you could do such a thing. Are there anybody left? Is there anybody left to challenge you in the AEW right now as far as the women's division goes?
I mean, there's the whole division. That was my first title defense. So line them up. Let's go. And I'll knock them right down. There's Red Velvet, Ty Conti, Serena D. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And for all the former champs, if Sheeta wants another shot, that's cool. I'll beat her again. I'll make her tap out one more time.
Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. So, we've seen opponents be lined up for you. If Dr. Britt Baker gets to choose her next title defense, who do you want in the ring to continue to prove that you are the women's champion if you got to set the match?
Ooh, that's tough. There's a lot of people that I've never been in the ring with, period. Ty Conti being one of them. And I think she's really, really shown her growth as a wrestler and performer as well. So I'm excited for when the time comes, because I know it's coming. She's good. She's working her way up the rankings. I've always really enjoyed dabbling around with Red Velvet too. I think she's a star, and she's also really talented. Not as talented as me because I beat her. But with that being said, those are two people that I'm really excited to get in the ring with.
All right, so this is a weird question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Who has the best teeth in the AEW? You would be the expert on that. Who has the best teeth?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, there's a lot of veneers in professional wrestling, so I'm not going to out all those people, even though I could if I wanted to. I could, because I know right away when I look, I'm like, okay, your teeth are fake. That's cool though. It's cool. I can't say off the top of my head because my eyes are blinded by my own glowing smile, so I'm not going to give anybody else any credit. I have the best teeth, the best smile.
Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate, just a few days ahead of AEW Fight for the Fallen next week in Charlotte, North Carolina. All right, Dr. Baker, we have watched legends come into AEW. You've got some on the roster like Matt Hardy, who we're going to be speaking to in about an hour from right now. We have seen the icon Sting show up. Vicky Guerrero has showed up on the women's side and been a thorn in the side of the women's champion since she came on the scene. But for you to see these icons, these legends of wrestling show up in AEW to help the next generation of talent get bigger, get better, and continue to push the company, for you to be in that locker room with some of these icons, as well as seeing the next generation of talent really get the chance to shine with their tutelage, has that helped you, and how?
Absolutely. I mean, how fortunate are we that we have some of the best wrestlers of all time in our locker room to pick their brains? You said it, Matt Hardy, Christian Cage, Chris Jericho, who is somebody I have gone to from day one for help with absolutely everything, from promos to stories to character to wrestling. It's like some of my all-time favorite wrestlers, Chris Jericho being one of them, and Matt Hardy, are in my locker room with me. So anytime I have a question, I get to like turn around and my favorite wrestlers are right there and I get to pick their brain. So that's something that's really, really cool. And you are a freaking idiot if you're an AEW talent and a newer, younger talent like me, and you're not picking these guys' brains, because they've been through it all. They've seen it all. They've done it all. You know, they've had their triumphs, their failures. They've done it all. So they're the people to go to. We don't know it all. And if you claim to know it all, that's you're not going to go too far in this business. So you have to ask questions nonstop. You have to soak up everything.
AEW has been at the forefront as far as allowing fans back into the arenas. What's it like to be out there and have everybody back now?
Oh, it gives you goosebumps when you hear the roar of the crowd, even if it's not your segment, like you're in the back and catering or something. The crowds are so loud right now. I swear they've doubled their volume from the last time we've seen them, and it's so awesome. But the roar of the crowd, it's so electric from top to bottom, because we film an hour of dark before the show starts. The crowd's so loud during the show, and then they're still so loud for the last hour after when we're filming another dark. So these fans are showing you loud and proud they are ready for professional wrestling to be back. They're ready to be in the arenas. They're ready to be there live and in person. And we are so damn happy to have them back.
Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, joining us here in the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. So you have made it known over and over that you are a dear friend of Tony Schiavone, as somebody who has been watching wrestling since I was a kid, and I've watched the many evolutions of Tony Schiavone over the years. As somebody who's gotten to know him, can you share one great Tony Schiavone story with us?
Oh my God, I have so many. One in particular, so I'll tell you this. He's probably going to get mad at me for telling you this, but that's okay. So one of my favorite wrestlers of all time is Edge. And Tony Schiavone and I, we always get into trouble. And we were out for dinner a couple weeks ago, and we had a little bit too much to drink. And we're like, well, we should call Edge and see if he wants to like say hi and chat with us. Obviously, he didn't answer because it was like 11 o'clock at night, and we were like giggling like two little schoolgirls. But this is the kind of shenanigans we get into. We just love to have a good time. It's harmless trouble, I say we get into here and there. But he's one of my best friends. I just got off the phone with him actually before this interview started. We talk every day. We text, we FaceTime. It's I know it's an unlikely pairing, but I like to say it's perfectly imperfect because we just have so much fun together.
Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. One or two more, and then we'll let you go, Dr. Baker, because I know you guys have a lot going on. To you personally, you are the face of this company. I have seen Dr. Britt Baker popping up representing AEW in ads. I've seen her showing up at different cons around the country. We know there's the great Cody Rhodes, and Darby Allin has been doing a fantastic job, and you've got all these up-and-comers. But I maintain that Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, is the face. What is it like for you, both as a professional wrestler and as somebody who's watched the rise in popularity of women's wrestling over the years? What does it mean to you personally to carry that strap around and know that people are tuning in to watch your career evolve?
It's a sense of pride and relief, because I've worked so hard, specifically the last year and a half or so, ever since the pandemic started. I really was able, because I wasn't able to be in the dental office. So all I did was watch wrestling, train, study, write stuff down in my notebook. I mean, I was completely locked in, and I made a promise to myself, this is going to be my year. And it turned out, I keep all my promises, right? And it's rewarding that I feel like the fans have been along for the ride with me for my growth. And I always say, we don't have a performance center at AEW. My performance center was AEW Dynamite. Like I was learning in front of all these fans and growing in front of all these fans. And I think the thing that's maybe a little bit endearing to them as well, that they were here for everything, the good, the bad, the ugly. And now we're all chanting DMD together.
Last one for you, and it's a question / a favor. So Lonzo and I talk wrestling on the show on a weekly basis. The show that follows us are a couple of guys that think they are too cool. They call themselves the show for men and us the show for boys because we talk wrestling. Mark Ryan is my colleague and the host of that show that thinks that wrestling is not cool, that folks like you just won't get a real job. Would you mind, because he's listening right now, would you mind sending a message to Mark Ryan about his view on this business?
Okay, Mark Ryan, let me tell you, if you don't think this is the real job, you're a freaking idiot, because it's a 24-hour job. You have to look the part. You have to be the part. You have to wrestle the part. Not only that, I do have a real freaking job. On top of that, I'm a wrestler and a dentist. So I'm not sure what it is your quote-unquote full-time job is, but I have 2 plan A careers. So if you're going to talk smack to anybody, I'm the wrong girl to do that to, because I will stick your face right in the mud and stomp my foot on your head.
DMD.
That's it.
Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show. AEW Fight for the Fallen is next Wednesday night in Charlotte, North Carolina. Dr. Baker, I will be there. Cannot wait to get it done up here in the Great Carolinas now that you guys are back on the road. Appreciate your time, Dr. Baker. We will hopefully do this again real soon. Congratulations on your title.
Thank you guys so much.
Always our pleasure. That is, I got to do it one more time, Alonzo. That is Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. The best, man. The best. And we're not done. The iconic Matt Hardy is joining us at 2:20. Aaron Walker of the Greenville Triumph is up next on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. DMD.
I didn't know if you were going to do it or not. I didn't know.
On your face.
Thank you for doing that. That was great.
Yeah, man. I'm not going to say I was thinking the whole time of how I was going to phrase that to get her to do it. All right. I'm going to turn the stream sound off for a second to give a
I'm willing to put that kind of effort into it just for the laugh.
Shad, Keegan, Joe, Mike, Kevin. Thanks for coming in and hanging out with us. Matt Hardy up next at 2:20. I don't know, man. Matt's got to have to take it to another level to match the intensity of Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. That was awesome.
We don't have time for a call, so.
You do what now?
Oh, the phone's ringing. But
Gotcha.
We don't have time. Yeah, when the phone rang and it was New York, I'm like, oh no, that's early. That is early. There's no chance that Matt Hardy would be calling in.
No. No, I wouldn't think so.
I'm getting Aaron's voicemail. You wouldn't be calling in from Georgia, would you?
Who? Aaron?
Who know that a little late is always too clock doesn't stop just because you're missing a part. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry. And our Kingstock inventory management solutions help ensure you have
For Aaron?
stuff
Okay.
in the right place.
Give it another shot or two, and if it doesn't go through, it doesn't go through.
Visit Grainger.com/Keepstock to learn more. Grainger, for the one. You can work out fresh every day.
It's not even ringing. It's going straight to
Okay.
Rob Brown Show, what do you want to talk about? Oh, okay. Hang on here. We're coming out of break in about 30 seconds. Hang on.
Well, that's why I was going straight to voicemail, huh?
That's why I was asking you if it was Atlanta. Yeah.
Texter says Lonzo, props on the teeth question. That was great. Well done.
Thank you. My first question kind of bombed because I said it wrong because I was a little nervous, but we'll see if I can ask Matt Hardy the same kind of question. Who's got the best teeth?
Matt Hardy might be the answer.
Yeah, he might.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It is ESPN Upstate, your home for live local sports all across the upstate of South Carolina. Back to the phone lines we go. Ordinarily, we do our weekly Greenville Triumph segment on Wednesdays, but since we were up in Charlotte, we had to bump it, and Aaron Walker has been more than kind enough to join us to talk a little Triumph football on a Friday afternoon. Aaron, my man, great to have you back on the show, buddy. Appreciate it.
What's up, Rob? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely my pleasure, man. Look, want to look ahead, right? Last week, on Saturday, I can't imagine anything less than painful loss for you guys. Up 2-0, conceded 3, looking ahead to Chattanooga now. But, man, I'm the optimist. I'm looking forward. What went wrong in that game, Aaron Walker? I mean, you guys had it felt Tormenta on the ropes most of the game, and then it felt like the wheels came off. In your mind, what's the prognosis there?
Yeah, it was a tough result for us to swallow, obviously. We had so many good moments in the game, and that's been kind of the message since the game itself. But having so much good play throughout and then just 3 lapses in judgment is always difficult to take in. So we just kind of got to let it go and look forward. But during the game, like you said, we had control, and we had them on the ropes up 2-0, and that whole old cliche of 2-0 is a very dangerous lead in soccer came true. And I think we got to be able to do a better job of staying focused for a full 90 minutes. So as far as pinpointing it, it's tough. It's tough to put a finger on what went wrong because the game can change so quickly in such little time. And I think it was just a culmination of a couple lapses in judgment, and they capitalized. So.
Aaron Walker, midfielder for the Greenville Triumph, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show at ESPN Upstate. You know, there's this old cliche in coaching and sports that we have a tendency when we get a lead, especially a 2-0 lead. Like you said, it is the most dangerous lead in sports. But at the same time, it's hard not to get a little confident, right? Get a little cocky, maybe even when you go up 2-0 and that's a halftime scoreline. Is there a change of mentality for you guys? Do you change the way you go? Maybe get a little more defensive, maybe be a little less hesitant to attack when there is a lead? Is that something that is a mentality factor for the Triumph?
Yeah, I think that's another thing we've been talking about. So we just got to do a better job of managing the game. And, you know, we went up 2-0 and we were in cruise control at the time, and it felt like we could go get more goals. And I think we kind of got sucked into that and stopped, staying focused to the details of the game. And they were able to find a way through and sort of swing the momentum and ultimately capitalize. So I think for us going forward, it's now, hey, obviously we want to get an early goal or two and
keep the foot on their necks, but we have to be sort of tuned in to what we're doing at all times and can't just play without caution. So we gotta make sure we have a good balance going forward. We have good coverage if we turn the ball over, and have good numbers behind the ball, and kind of not rest on our laurels. So yeah, that's definitely something we have to take into account going forward as we come up against some difficult teams. So we want to get an early lead, but how can we prevent, any other team from scoring against us and keep a clean sheet?
Aaron Walker of the Greenville Triumph here on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. So now we look ahead to Chattanooga. You're on the road this weekend. What's the message from Coach Harks? What's the discussion between the players about not, you want to have a short memory in sports, and you hear that in every sport, but soccer, I think, true as well. What's the dialogue between Harks and the team in itself as far as being able to put that loss in the rearview mirror and get refocused and recalibrated for Chattanooga this weekend?
The message has just been to play our game. We had a pretty lengthy day back in when we came back in for our first training after the game, and had a lot of productive discussions, a lot of film, just to kind of address what went wrong and make sure it doesn't happen again going forward. And that's just comes down to not playing 80 minutes. It's playing 90 plus full minutes and staying tuned in the whole time, because like I said, things can change quickly in this game. And going forward, it's just play our game. Let's go into Chattanooga and let's just be ourselves. We know we're good enough, and we know what we're capable of, and we're all clicking, and no need to press a panic button or do anything different. Let's just stay tuned in and make sure we put in a full effort. And that's kind of it. So we feel good about where we are. So
I love it. Aaron Walker, Greenville Triumph, joining here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. That being said, Aaron, are we expecting to see any tactic changes? Will we see any personnel changes? I know, we've talked to John Harks in the past, and one of the things he told us is he doesn't want to react to the point where it becomes an overreaction, right? You don't want to panic and completely change everything you've been doing, because now not only are you getting rid of something that worked for a while because of an issue or two, but now you basically gotta get used to an entire new system. Are there any slight changes that Triumph fans might see this Saturday night based on that result?
There might be, yeah. Maybe not so much based on that result, but sort of just kind of personnel, who's available, who's injured. We've obviously had a fair amount of unfortunate injuries this year. I think we've had 13 or 14 guys in and out at one period or another, which is always tough to manage. But there might be a formation change, yeah. But it's more kind of looking towards Chattanooga, not so much last week, and who's had a good week of training and who he feels is ready and who's ready to step up and do the job. So we feel comfortable in any formation he puts us in. And I think that's something that's really cool about John and the staff here is there's not one way to play football, and we can adapt and change throughout the year. And we have the guys that are capable of grasping those formations and running with it. So we might see a little slight change, but like I said, again, it's based on Chattanooga and how we feel we can exploit them. So,
sure. Now, you guys have been on the road at Chattanooga once already. Back in late June, a 1-1 draw in a game that I thought was a really tough draw. It was also kind of the beginning of a kickoff of a long stretch of mini matches in many fewer days. You've gotten a taste of Chattanooga, but this time you're coming in fresh. Last time you played Chattanooga on the road, I think you had like 2 days rest between matches. Now that you've got fresh legs and a week off before you go on the road, a little more confident in going into this one, or are we just approaching it like any other game-by-game status?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's confident in the way we can approach this one, obviously being a lot more fresh than the last time. Credit to Chattanooga. They've been pretty solid this year, and it's a hostile environment to play in, and we know what we're getting into. They've scored a lot of late goals, 80, I believe it's 7 or 8 games that they've scored in the 80th plus minute to win or draw. So we know we have to play for 90 plus. Like I said before, this is the kind of team you can't switch off for any minute. So we need to go in and take care of business the whole time. But yeah, definitely approaching it confidently. It's been a really good week of training. The vibes have been high, and guys are just excited to get out and kind of prove that we need to start playing our brand of football and start making some of these results happen that we feel like we should be earning. So
Aaron Walker, midfielder for the Greenville Triumph, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Aaron, I know playing in the midfield, look, you get a little bit of taste of both worlds. You're playing on the back end of the attack. You're also the first line of defense. And you guys have played some teams that are really interesting in the way they're put together. I'm speaking primarily of like North Carolina, which is probably one of the fastest young teams I've ever seen play in person. Tormenta, a very physical team. Chattanooga, I think, is kind of a mix of the two. When you guys have so many different styles of club that you face in USL League One, and you're playing a team that's 16 and 17-year-old speedsters one week, and then the next week a team that loves to bang on the ball. As a midfielder, how do you kind of wrap your mind around being able to flow from one style of soccer to the next from week to week?
I think it's a credit to our staff and what they put together in terms of our scout. They have a very detail-oriented scout for us every week, and obviously us watching the games too, we kind of know what we're in for. But I think you made a good point about the teams and kind of how Chattanooga plays. Is they're a good mix of a lot of styles. They work really hard. They're technical. They can move the ball well. They can hurt you when you switch off. So we have to be ready to go. It's a full performance, staying tuned in the whole time this week. And I guess as a midfielder, it's just kind of do what I can to help the team. And whether that's in the attacking side or defensively, just kind of being able to direct people and find ways to get goals and help out however I can. So try to manage the midfield as best and work with the guys that are in there with me and try to connect the game all over. So, again, like I said, it's going to be a difficult opponent, but we're ready. We're excited for this week.
Love it. Love to hear it. The Triumph will be on the road this Saturday at Chattanooga against the Red Wolves SC. That one's going to be at 7 p.m. Aaron, my man, always good to have you on. I know the Triumph fans are going to be behind you guys on Saturday, so go home and get us 3 points, big fella.
That's what we're looking to do. I appreciate you having me on.
Always.
Talk soon.
Always. Aaron Walker, midfielder, your Greenville Triumph here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. When we come back, I have the most ridiculous Karen story, and you're going to laugh at it. Share that before we end the hour next on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Put the banner up. BRB stream. Probably.
I think it was just proven. I mean, I don't think there's any, doubt about it. I just,
I don't know why. I was more nervous talking to Britt Baker than I was Dabo the other day. maybe just because I know Dabo's world. I've been in Dabo's world, I've been in the wrestling world.
You didn't seem nervous to me. I mean,
Well, I fake it really well on the radio. That's why I've been in this business 14 years.
Whereas me, I am Chris Farley. So, I mean, there's no pretending to be. So is this live or what?
No, this is the one they lost 3-0 the other day.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because that's not how they're.
I'm going to turn the channel. I'm totally fine with that.
I'll say,
watch it again.
It's not how they're billing it. But that's fine.
That's game one. There's some bright damn jerseys, though.
They are. We do have a collar, which we could squeeze in.
Who is it? Oh, I don't know why I'm asking you, and I can just click.
Yeah, I mean,
Mark. Yeah, we'll get Mark.
Or I could tell you. I mean,
no, we'll get Mark in here. The Rob Brown Show's back on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate. Rob Lonzo and you. To the phone lines we go, where Mark has been kind enough to wait patiently. Mark, welcome in, buddy. Great to have you, pal.
What's going on, buddy?
Living the dream, man. How are you?
Dude, I'm on the 17th hole at the Palmer course at PJ National.
It's that, Mark.
And I'm here with your favorite captain. Say hi, Captain. Hey, what's up, buddy? It's Tommy.
Oh God, I got the whole crew here. Lonzo, these are old fraternity brothers and dear friends of mine.
I am curious, why do they speak better than you? They have wonderful voices.
Don't,
Lonzo. It's Friends Phone In Friday. We want Rob to feel loved, and we know he doesn't. We got to boost his ego.
Don't encourage them, Lonzo. I don't need more of this. These are old friends of mine from back in my college days, who are older than me and less good at this than me. So wait, where are you playing today, Steak?
We are at PJ National. Where they play the Honda Classic.
Yeah, I know.
The professionals play here, so we're playing.
Yeah. The professionals play there, but they are clearly not today. Or you would not have been invited.
I believe they're at the 3M championship this week. You might want to stay up on your sports, buddy. Come on. You got to do better than that. Come on.
Lonzo, you got to screen calls better, man. You can't let clowns like this on here.
What?
He even said my name is Mark Caruso, and I can't wait to talk to Rob. You should have known that.
Oh man, you guys are jerks. And they do this only to make me jealous. And the thing is, I know that, and it still works.
Hey, I got 150 into the front pin, Rob. What should I play?
For you, probably a 3-iron.
Hey, if you ever take a vacation and come down here, you can put your money where your mouth is, Radio Man.
Oh no, I suck at golf. I just want to point out that you guys do too.
Oh, okay.
I said what I said.
Lonzo, we called in to be his friends, and now he's not being nice. Can you, tap him on the back of the head or something?
We called in to be his friends is the biggest lie that's ever been said on this radio station. Hey, good to talk to you, Streak. Go have fun. I'll text you later, you jerk.
Hey, enjoy yourself, buddy. Happy Friday.
Always. Appreciate it, buddy. I gotta love that fraternity brothers calling in to taunt me has just become a Friday thing now.
I saw his last name. I'm like, is that who that is? So I took the last name off of there.
Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome.
Thanks for helping them do it. Back after this for hour 3 of the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
I'm going to need the phone number for Casey. I think it was.
Yes.
Just a moment. Radio quality voices is what I'm trying to say. They're very articulate.
And they are good, terrible people, all of them. There's a group thread of like 5 of us that have all been buddies for, I don't know, 13, 14 years now. And they take turns calling in. You looked heartbroken. You really did. After having some time to reflect on that game and that moment and kind of what that meant in your career, can you just kind of give me your thoughts on, A, did you think the ejection was warranted? And B, looking back at it, do you think it's going to change the way you play football this year?
There's no way in hell I'm changing the way I play football. Like, I'm going to be as aggressive.
Hey, Casey's Alonzo, ESPN Upstate. Doing good. How are you? All right, we have about a minute, and then Rob will be right with you. Hang on. See if Matt Hardy ends up calling in early too.
I'll probably wrap this up closer to 15 to make sure. I'd rather him call in. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Hello.
That counts. I guess it doesn't count. That was a near miss. That was a near miss.
Would have been 3, but you saved me.
I shouldn't have looked. I should not have looked.
That's what happens when you send me on remote 2 days. I just forget how everything in the building works, apparently.
If you were on the stream, you would have seen the deep intake of breath as he prepared to let it go, and then he remembered he had to push the button.
To the phone lines we go to welcome in a young man that has become a friend of the show since the beginning of the movement. That is the Spartanburgers. One name, like Madonna, Cher, Spartanburgers. That's how it works. My man, Casey Milton, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. Casey, what's up, fella?
Hey, Rob Brown, good to be back. It warms my heart. Friend of the show after second appearance. This is trending in an upward direction, man. We're going to take this to the moon. I love it.
To the moon. Love to hear it. Casey Milton joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Talk a little Spartanburgers baseball. Casey, before I want to talk baseball with you. I have
Yes,
two
sir.
things that I have to bring up first. Number one, and this is a source of frustration and also a cause for celebration. I asked you last week how I could go about obtaining a Spartanburgers jersey for what we're going to talk about in a second. And your response to me was basically, in paraphrasing, dude, we've been sold out for a minute and we going to stay sold out for a minute. You guys are building something there in the Berg, buddy.
Oh, 100%. It is possibly the best problem you could have as someone in charge of marketing and merchandise, where the merch is selling out faster than we could order it. With jerseys, with how long they take to print, I think we've been sold out since about the second week of the season. We've been doing some specialty jerseys that we'll wear in game and auction those off live. And those have been going to some great causes. Those have sold like hotcakes. So we had like the medium rare jersey sold out. Half of those jerseys sold out that first game. The rest were gone in 2 weeks. We had the red, white, and beef jersey, possibly the best patriotic jersey in all of baseball. That sold out that night. And then we had our Sluggers commemorative jerseys. Those went very well, honoring the Negro League team that played in Spartanburg. And man, jerseys have been gone, but I did hook you up. We scrounged from storage, so there should be an official Rob Brown jersey waiting for you at the office when you come back.
Let's go! Love to hear it. Love to hear it. We're talking to Casey Milton of the Spartanburgers here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. I do have one question. This is a very important question. What is the Spartanburgers' official position on the way that the proper burgers should be cooked? Is medium rare is the limit according to the Spartanburgers if I'm in charge? Is that accurate?
Medium rare is the only way to cook meat, man. It needs to be juicy. It needs to be bloody. The more you cook out of it, the more flavor you leave. So you're just doing yourself a disservice if your meat's not mostly pink, man.
My freaking guy, Lonzo.
See, but I would guess, and it's just a guess, but I have been in the upstate for 24 years or something like that. I would guess that the majority of the fans probably like the medium well. So I feel like maybe you're alienating those fans.
I mean, we'll cook burgers however you want. You ask me how I like my burgers cooked.
All right.
You ask me what our position is cooked. We serve. Well, look, I'm here for the fans. I'm here for the customers. Hey, if you want some alternative meat options too, I'm for that soy burger, for that Impossible burger. There's no discriminating here. Meat is meat.
All right, Rob feels like he won there, so I just wanted to make sure.
I don't feel like I did.
Okay, all right.
I know that I did.
All right.
Casey Milton from the Spartanburgers here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. So I want to talk with you guys a little bit about what's been going on this. I mean, what's the response been like for you guys? You're a couple months into your season now, about a month and a half or so left to go in the year. How's game nights been treating you guys?
I think the best thing I could say is, I always tell people first-time customers and repeat customers are both my favorites. And it's just because everyone who comes to the park, it's, hey, wow, I've had such a good time. This is a great place to spend a day at the ballpark because it's high energy, it's entertainment focused. We've had people from Asheville said, we're not going to tourist games. We just want to come down for the Spartanburgers. We've had people all across the upstate said, I love coming to Duncan Park. Even some of our opposing teams and players, they'll come up to me after the game. Hey, this is one of our favorite places to play. You guys have so much fun and you keep the energy high. And that's some of the stuff I'm most proud of personally.
Casey Milton from the Spartanburgers joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. What's been interesting is with the college summer league style ball that you guys play. There are some baseball fans that go, well, call me when there's a professional game. But I think what has been interesting, and the folks that I have talked to, Casey, about what you guys are doing, what the product you're putting out, is that as much as it is about baseball and giving these guys the opportunity to develop, some of these guys we're going to see playing at higher levels down the line in their career, the emphasis is equally on providing a product that's as entertaining to the fans as it is developmental for the players. And, we actually talked not too long ago about the Savannah Bananas and the product that they grew down there. And from everybody I've talked to, from the Spartanburgers all the way over to the folks here in Greenville that drive over for games, I have heard over and over that as far as entertainment in sports goes, as we watch Major League Baseball, how can we get more fans in attendance? The NBA doing the same thing. you guys are constantly trying to find the next thing that is going to engage and entertain fans in the stands. And I think that's starting to be recognized around the upstate. Do you guys feel that that's the same? Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, not just in the park, but on social media as well. When you're in the park, and we want you to come, we want the beer to be cold, we want the hot dogs to be warmer, and we want when you leave, it was, hey, what's that score? I don't know, but I had a ton of fun. And it's exactly as you said. It's about being engaging. It's about being entertaining, and it's really just also not taking this too seriously, not taking the social media too seriously, not taking ourselves too seriously, because in the end, it is a game and it's fun, and it's about recapturing, those glory days of summer and just creating memories for all who can. And one of my favorite parts about the job is talking to parents. Oh, I used to come to Phillies games as kids, and now I get to take my kids. And really, I'm that bastion where I'm that steward where now I'm helping them create those memories for their families. We had a race the other day where I make kids run around the infield in sheets. Girl just face planted. She was okay. Also, we signed waivers. Dad videotaping it, and he was just like, "Oh, I'm showing this at her wedding. Like, oh, this is great. I'm keeping this for a while. I'm showing this at her wedding," and that's what it's about.
That I love. We had a little girl trip and faceplant. Her dad said, "I'm going to use this to embarrass her the rest of her life." ... That's what it's all about. I love that. I love that. Casey Milton from the Spartan Burgers joining us here on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. Now, Casey, what I am most excited about, Lonzo, I think somewhere between anxious and trepidatious with this whole thing. Next Thursday night, right there. In Spartanburg, we will be in attendance, Lonzo and I. I don't want to give all the secrets out, but participating in various activities around the stadium throughout the evening. My dude, absolutely jacked up to get out there and hang out with the Spartanburgers for a night.
Oh man, we're jacked up to have you. It's the same level. Ever since the first time I came on this show, it was a hit, as you said, and we're so happy to have you as part of the entertainment. It's not a takeover, man. It's you coming down and being a part of the Spartanburgers, because now you're part of the team. You got a jersey. I'll outfit you. We could probably see, maybe we get you out on first base. Maybe we get some SBs. You could coach that up. But we're happy to have you out there being a part of the entertainment, really showing you guys and letting you experience all what we're about. So then you could go just preach the meaty goodness that is Spartan Burgers Entertainment.
The meaty goodness.
I've often thought in my life, someday I want to be able to go and preach the meaty goodness.
Hey, as I said, I'm happy to deliver that. I'm happy. It's fans first here at Duncan Park. It's always fans first. And so that's what I'm here for.
Rob almost sprayed on the board. That would have been bad. Good thing we got some glass right here.
Here's my question, Lonzo. If Casey was to tell you that you were going to be coaching first base for an inning, are you prepared for that?
Yeah, because we know that I'm down with all things baseball.
Oh yeah, Lonzo, enormous. I mean, the ins and outs. He is. If Adam Schefter was a baseball guy, he would still look up to Lonzo. For me,
here's the problem, though, Rob. If I'm the first base coach,
you're just sending everybody.
No. Everybody's going to be looking at me. So, it's going to be difficult for the base runner because they're going to be running, and it's so rough.
Here's my question for you, Casey. If we can get Lonzo out there to coach first base, do you have a helmet that will fit him?
Ooh, let's, I got a blowtorch. Maybe we just combine two. I think we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. Whatever it takes. It's just Avengers mode right now.
As long as my hair comes out the back of it, that's all that matters.
Glorious.
Casey made me deploy the tactical cough button there for
He
a second.
said glorious. That completely describes my hair.
Next Thursday, we will be at the Spartan Burgers game Thursday night. I got to tell you, Casey, between now and next Thursday, I will be down at the ballpark throwing about 350 practice pitches a day because, my man, I am coming to put on display the Rob Brown heat and meat, partner.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just showing us that cannon. Look, if you're nervous, what I tell all my first pitchers, all right, go look up 50 Cent throwing the first pitch for the Mets. Go look up Carly Rae Jepsen throwing for the Rays. That's all you have to do better than. That's it. Just those two, because those are the worst first pitches I've ever seen. And if you do better than them, which I'm pretty sure both of them threw the ball at 90-degree angles, you're good.
Well, you talked about the worst pitches. I think there will be a pitch that will top or be worse than those, and that will happen Friday night.
Yeah. If listen, it'd be great to beat Fitty. It'll be great to beat all the bad first pitches. The only guy I'm aiming to beat, Casey, is my partner in crime, Mark Ryan. So I need you to do me a favor. When he comes out onto the field on Friday, if he throws out a first pitch, I need to check him for spider tack. I need to check him for performance enhancing. I need the full MLB check crackdown on Mark Ryan because I refuse to lose to him in a one-pitch pitch off.
You're not going to need any of that. He's not going to make it to the plate. Come on.
We'll take it. Well, I mean, honestly, see, I'm about it. I honestly think, like, let's just allow steroids and let's just see how far humans can jump. Let's see how far we could hit a ball. Just make that the even playing field, man. Like, sticky substance is fine. We're not affiliated with MLB. Whatever you want to use to make sure that ball gets across the plate, that's on you, sir.
Let's go. Let's go. Casey Milton from the Spartan Burgers. We will be there next Thursday. And stay tuned next week because we will be giving tickets away to Thursday's and Friday's Spartan Burgers game all week long. On Thursday, me and Lonzo will be out there for the first of 2 ESPN Upstate nights. We're going to be hanging out, doing all kinds of stuff throughout the stadium, hanging out with you guys, the fans. Mark Ryan and Diesel will be there on Friday night to do the same thing. Come to Thursday night. It's going to be better. So join us next Thursday and Friday. Casey, my man, it is always always great to have you on the show. We'll get you back on early next week to break down some games and whatnot before we get to Thursday, pal.
Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely. And we always have to add Thirsty Thursday dollar beer nights. All right. So $1 Bud Light, $1 Mick Ultras. Obviously, if you are of age, then we have dollar sodas as well. And of course, it is the best combo night in baseball because it is our dogs and burgers night. So there will be plenty of cute dogs and wet noses to pet and look at. So there you go. That's another reason to come out to the park. 2 of the best promo nights in baseball happening on the same night, all combined with ESPN Upstate.
Thursday night, it's dollar beers and puppies. It's like you tailor-made it for me. Casey Milton, my man, great to talk to you, buddy. We'll talk to you next week.
All right. Be well, sir. Thank you for having me on.
There you have it. That's Casey Milton from the Spartan Burgers. Quick break, and Matt Hardy, legend of AEW, joins us next on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Hey, let me take a moment to tell you about the Health Dare. Now, what is the Health Dare? The Health Dare is a plan. It is not a diet. You're going to lose weight with the Health Dare in 30 days guaranteed, or you're Wagertainment. Quoting the commercial, man. It's all right. It's good. You all right? You good? You all right?
Yeah.
You good? You all right? You all right? You good?
Next Wednesday night, Charlotte, North Carolina. It is All Elite Wrestling's Fight for the Fallen. Joining us now on the phone line is a gentleman we have been watching wrestling for many, many years. He is a superstar for AEW. He is a legend in the business. He is Matt Hardy, joining us right here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Matt, welcome to the show, man. It's great to have you, man.
Thank you guys very much for having me. I'm very excited to be on your show.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that nice introduction.
Of course. I mean, you've put in the work to earn a few nice words here and there, Matt Hardy. And I wanted to ask you about that, man. You have been around the world in this business. You have won titles, both as an individual and as one of my favorite tag teams of all time with your brother. And now you are one of the faces of, I think we've been calling AEW an up and coming company, but 3 weeks in a row, popping the 1 million viewer mark. You have been a huge part of that. From getting into AEW and now routinely hitting 1 million viewers for Dynamite, what's this journey with AEW been like for you?
It's been amazing. It's been a great experience, and AEW has been so wonderful in every single way, but it has also been a very intriguing and challenging experience for all of us just because of the whole pandemic era that we went through. And for me especially, my debut was on the first ever empty arena show, which was the beginning of the pandemic. So, I started, in a very weird space, but, we kind of felt our way through that situation. And I think we did amazing quality TV throughout the whole pandemic scenario. And now these last few weeks being in front of fans, we are back making true pro wrestling again. And I really think AEW shows week in and week out why it is the future of professional wrestling.
Do you have any other wrestlers that come to you for advice who haven't really been in front of crowds like this, and now for the first time they're out there and they're getting to hear that pop and get that energy?
Yeah, I definitely have guys that ask me my opinion on should they do this, should they do that, what it may be, and I'm kind of in a position as well as the head of the Hardy Family Office, which is my faction. All of those guys, kind of like, lean on me a little bit for advice. Private Party, they were two of the biggest Hardy Boys fans growing up. So it was their idea initially. They said, hey, what if we do something together? And then we found a way this would work real well. So anytime, whether it's Private Party, whether it is Angelico and Jack Evans, whether it's the Butcher and the Blade, whoever it may be, I am very happy to give all those guys advice. And I feel like I'm able to give them a little insight into things that could help them, things they might not see. A lot of times as a professional wrestler, it's easier if you have an experienced eye on the outside to kind of give you feedback to help you better your game.
Matt Hardy from All Elite Wrestling joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Matt, we have watched you as a professional wrestler reinvent yourself time and time and time and time again. And it seems like every version of Matt Hardy that comes to the ring is immediately over. So this latest iteration of Matt Hardy, which I love with, especially being willing to be there for Private Party, this young and upcoming and incredible tag team, for you to be able to constantly reinvent yourself and tap into that creative side of yourself and have the freedom to do it with AEW. How much does that make you continue to love this business?
To me right now, that is the most fun part of this business. That makes me love it more than anything else. The creative aspect and being able to evolve and change your persona. You take the greatest of great shows, whether it is The Sopranos or Breaking Bad, Dexter, whatever. At some point after you go so many seasons, it's hard to keep things fresh because you have burned through all your content. I think that also applies to professional wrestling, because when you're a character, you might be super hot for a couple of years, but then by that third year, that fourth year, if you're doing the same thing, it kind of It's hard to go in new directions. It's hard to keep people excited. So you have to constantly evolve. You have to constantly change. And that is one thing I take a lot of pride in doing. And that's one thing I love. It's important to always change and evolve. That's how you keep your character fresh. They may love you for the human being that plays these different characters for Matt Hardy, but you have to give them a different version or update your persona as Matt Hardy.
Matt, was there ever a time in your career when you're looking down as you're on top of a cage or a ladder or something really, really high and you hesitated and thought, why am I doing this?
I do a little more now, I think, as I've gotten older and have kids, but I know, like, when I was younger, I look back and just being so fearless. I mean, my brother was a much more of a true representation of the Hardy Boys, that adrenaline junkie, have no fear, totally fearless. I was as well, but I mean, he is absolutely insane, willing to do anything. But I feel like I am fearless on the creative aspect of wrestling more than anything else, willing to try different things. When I first started doing Broken Matt Hardy, a ton of people thought, like, oh my God, like, Matt's lost his mind. He's really out there. I don't know. He's drinking too much or whatever it may be. They thought I was legit crazy. And that was just, for me, so rewarding to creatively think out of the box, do something that has never been done before in a certain way, and have it get over and become huge like it did whenever I did the final deletion and all that other thing. It was a really cool feeling. And now, as Big Money Matt, the current character I'm doing, I want to start adding some layers this year, now that we're back in front of a crowd, to once again try and make myself bigger and better, and also really draw in a very special audience that may have kind of been a lapsed fan as far as pro wrestling goes.
Matt Hardy from All Elite Wrestling joining us here on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. One of my favorite things, and I mean of all time in wrestling, was the time spent between various companies at the Hardy family compound and watching the matches that took place there, especially the theatrical versions of the matches. Especially when you got to have the freedom of doing a theatrical style match at the compound and kind of make it your own. Where did the idea for that come about, and what was it like for you to look around the compound and come up with different ways to do something that really had not been done at that level in professional wrestling?
Yeah, around that time, especially as you get older, and now when I hit October, this will be my 29th year doing this as a professional. And as I was starting to get older around that time, 2015, 2016, I saw all the young guys and the new style, which is more or less kind of what AEW is doing now. That's the new style. It's much a quicker pace, and you're moving. There's a lot of exciting high spots, and it's very athletic and acrobatic. So I saw this pace coming in. I was like, well, I can't do that as good as I used to back in the late 90s or whatever. I said, so what if I kind of do a little bit of a throwback? I do this character who is larger than life, and I kind of drew from some of my favorite TV shows at that time. And then I said, if he's really an unorthodox character who is better suited being away from the ring, I said, maybe we even take the Hardy compound, the property, which is legitimately where myself and my brother live, and then we make that kind of like the arena. That is the setting. And then we have these fights that are like totally away from the arena, always remote locations. That was the initial thought behind that. I just wanted to do something different that hadn't been done, and I kind of had the freedom to be creative and do that when I was at TNA and Impact. So that's where that started. And then as time went on, my brother really got into it, and he's super creative when he's doing things as well. And it really became a thing. Like, people love the arena of the Hardy compound, especially the people that like that genre of wrestling where it is like larger than life and entertainment. Now at AEW, it is a little bit more of a serious environment. Their fan base is a little more sports centric and a little more sports based. So we kind of pulled in a little bit and kind of reined that in. But I still think down the road, there are some opportunities for Broken Matt Hardy to do some very cool stuff.
Christian has followed you seemingly all around the world. Is he your greatest rival of your career?
He is certainly one of them. When people always ask me about greatest rivals, I always say, myself and my brother versus Edge and Christian. That was a huge rivalry. I mean, we literally put one another on the map. And then myself and Christian, now he's came to AEW, and I think we have a whole new chapter that we're writing currently. And I was so proud of our match last week, going out there, and it was a little different than your typical AEW match. It was maybe a little more old school wrestling in some ways, but also very athletic and very exciting. And it was fun to go out there with someone who I've known for almost a quarter of a century and go out there and have a killer match like that. And it was one of the top matches on the show. So that was a lot of fun. So yes, Christian is definitely one of my greatest rivals of all time. One of the top 5 for sure.
Love it. Matt Hardy joining us here on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. So Matt, about 7-8 years ago, I was doing ring announcing for a small little promotion down in a city called Crestview, Florida. And you actually came and wrestled a match against a guy named Heath Childs, who was a dear friend of mine at the time. And what stood out to me about that was that in front of those small, this was at the National Guard Armory in Crestview, Florida. In front of the people that are there are deeply passionate wrestling fans. And we see that extend. And I think that AEW has really made it important and an important part of what y'all are doing to connect with those fans and make it feel like those fans' voices are heard in what's happening on the programs, something that I think other companies are failing to do in the last couple of years. From wrestling those smaller shows where you have such an intimate experience with the fans to AEW, it feels like trying to kind of capture that attitude, but on a much grander scale. Is that a good analysis of the way that AEW is trying to go? And if so, how important is it to you to make sure that the fans know that they're not just customers giving money, but they are part of the entertainment?
That's a great analogy. And that is very true. Everything you said. The AEW fans, they do get listened to. Tony Khan is absolutely amazing. I have all the respect in the world for him. He is so great to work for as a boss and work with on creative thinking as far as like a wrestling match goes or a wrestling angle goes. And he really does listen to the fan because deep down in his heart, he is the biggest wrestling fan of them all. I mean, he is a historian. He knows everything. And I am sure when he was watching wrestling and it was cool and he's like, oh my God, I wish this guy would do that, or I wish he'd do this, or I think this was bad, or this probably wasn't the best decision for this guy's career going forward. I think he internalizes all that and he is able to now listen to the overall voice of the AEW fan base. And he is able to take that information and apply it to what he's doing. And on top of that, he is so good at taking every single body and putting them in the best role possible and trying to maximize them as much as they can be utilized to get them over. It feels like to me, and this is an analogy I'd like to make right now, back during the Attitude Era, everybody from top to bottom when the show was over, when they'd come out, they'd get a reaction. People were excited to see them. Tony Khan has brought this back. I mean, where everybody is treated as important. Everybody seems like they're a threat that's on the show, and everybody is used to be to the maximum ability. And it feels like there are so many overacts. You look at the main events the last few weeks of Dynamite, different guys. This last week it was Jon Moxley and Lance Archer. The week before that, it was Darby Allin and Ethan Page. They can put different guys in on that last slot and they still succeed because he is making everyone feel important. And that's something that other places aren't doing right now.
We have some listeners out there who used to be wrestling fans and they went away from it because they didn't like the direction it was going. What can you say to convince them to show up next Wednesday in Charlotte?
The first thing I would say is we are in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is 100 miles exactly from the Hardy compound. And I am a proud North Carolinian, so I'm going to be super excited to be there. Please come out and support your Hardy boy because he is there for you. The next thing I would say is like AEW is something that is totally different. I think AEW is something that, listens to the fans, it listens to their overall voice. It wants to reward them for watching. And you are truly a part of the show. I mean, your opinions, the things the crowd chant, the feedback that AEW gets from the fans is listened to, and it is usually implemented into the shows. So if you come to this isn't just someone wanting to take your money. This is a group of elite performers that really want to entertain you and also want to listen to you, and they want your feedback, and they want to make their show better, and they want to help, give you a personal experience there so that you feel like your opinion is valued.
How good does it feel to be back in front of the Carolinas? I mean, obviously it's got to be a relief to get back on the road in general, to get back in front of fans. Yeah. But for you as a Carolina guy, to get back to North Carolina, to get back to your home front as one of the first big shows back in front of fans, how pumped are you about that?
Oh man, I mean, I am just thrilled, and it's so great that it's in Charlotte. My family's going to be able to come out and be with me. My daughter, who ended up coming early, is going to be a couple weeks old, so she's going to be there as well. So that's going to be great. But yeah, we're taking the whole family out there, and just to be back in Charlotte, North Carolina, on a show of this magnitude with crowds in front of it, especially after working the pandemic era for 16 months in Jacksonville. I mean, that was really a very tough, difficult, and challenging time for everyone. But we did our damnedest to bust our asses and entertain people and still give a continuity to every single week as far as what we're doing. And we tried to be passionate. But knowing now these last few weeks we've been back out in front of fans, the crowd is part of the magic of pro wrestling. It isn't true pro wrestling without that crowd out there, without the oohs and the ahs, and without the cheers and the boos. And knowing that I'm going to be literally at home in North Carolina in front of a packed arena doing my thing for AEW Dynamite, man, I am just so thrilled. I am so excited, and I can't wait. I'm just so pumped for Wednesday. I feel like a kid before Christmas.
Big money Matt Hardy joining us here on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. All Elite Wrestling is in Charlotte, North Carolina for Fight for the Fallen next Wednesday. Tickets are available. Matt Hardy, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, man. It's an honor to be able to speak with you. We appreciate your time, big dog. We will see you in Charlotte, pal.
My man, thank you. It was an honor to speak with you, and I can't wait to see you guys in Charlotte. Make sure we meet one another.
Done and done. The great Matt Hardy joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Lonzo, I don't know what it says about me. You know, we had Dabo Sweeney on the show last week. We had Mark Richt. We had Wes Durham. We've had on this show a bunch of athletes. I had to tell you, I was when he came on the phone shaking. I watched this kid since I was like 3 years old, it feels like, right? I'm like shaking when Matt Hardy comes on the air because this is, I mean, for me, this is a dude who helped like define my childhood as a wrestler.
By the way, I think people know that I'm Mr. Nerves, and I'm over here telling Rob, hey, man, you good? You good? You all right? You good? You good? Oh, that was cool. He was very, very cool.
Very cool.
Another one of those highlight moments. Thanks to AEW and thanks to Rob for setting that up. Thank you. That was awesome.
Absolutely. Keegan pointed out in the chat, he said, I think it's cool how he doesn't shy away from talking about the other brands. He seems very genuine and real. And he was. But what I also respected was that he talked about him and events that happened within those brands, but he didn't bury him, right? He had every right to talk poorly about WWE and TNA and Impact and these other companies he's been a part of. But he didn't. He said, look, this is what we got to do when we were there, and it was cool and it was unique and it was fun and it was creative, and I got to do what I wanted to do. But here at AEW, we're doing something different that's a little more adult-themed wrestling for wrestling fans like Rob Brown and Lonzo. I thought it was great, man. Tremendous interview. Thank you to Matt Hardy. Thanks to Aaron at AEW for helping set that up. When we come back, the Karenist Karen story to every Karen and Twitter trending topics to wrap up the show. It's Friday, baby! The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate.
Wow.
That was legit.
Wow. You've had quite the week.
Quite the week. This is going to go down as a highlight week for your boy in the career.
Not a bad Friday for me either, I got to say. I got to go again. Now I'm trying to decide. Do I take that walk? I got time. I got time. Can I wait 20 minutes? I'm pretty anxious after the interview. So you know what? I'm gone.
Go for it.
You can tell everybody that we have to go downstairs.
Yeah, our bathroom is out of order, so we have to go downstairs to use one now.
Sports fans, YouTube TV's live TV service transforms the viewing experience with the latest and greatest technology and game-changing features. Personal watch recommendations help you find what to watch quickly and easily. And with key plays, you can catch up to the game live so you won't miss a thing. YouTube TV brings crystal clear HD live TV streaming all to your favorite devices. No cable boxes, no long-term contracts, set up in minutes. Visit YouTubeTV.com now to try it free. Terms apply.
This report is sponsored by ExpressPros.com. Looking for a job? Contact Express Employment Professionals and be part of their national hiring event. With one application, Express connects you with multiple employers and never charges a fee. Go to ExpressPros.com, find your nearest office, and call Express today.
From the Eagles Market Studio, this is ESPN Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg. ESPN Upstate.
An Odyssey station. Mondays get a bad rap, but they aren't that bad. Half the morning is spent telling everyone how epic your weekend was. Then you delete hundreds of emails. Next, I'm sucking up a show. And just when you think about it, see here, it's lunchtime. And that means no Monday. Or you can take your...
Yeah, that's the kind of speed that you're going to have to deal with possibly next Thursday.
I don't think there is a urination break competition.
No, but there could be going from one place to another quickly.
True. Keegan said, hell of a week for you, bro. Casey, stoked for you to come out to the Berg, by the way. Yeah, I'm stoked to get out there, too. And, yes, Lonzo literally said going into this break, big week. Yeah, it was a big week on the show. Big week on the show, boys.
My family is presently congratulating me.
For?
Well, we just did.
To Matt Hardy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big get. That's a big get.
I can't wait to get off of work or get off the show and put a permanent loop of Dr. Britt Baker coming at someone just over and over and over again. I can't wait I just want to hear it really loud.
When you put that in, just put it in a little lower, a little higher than the average volume.
You know what I might do? I might take a ride over to his apartment building since he has the window open. And just yes, go straight up John Cusack. I'm sure we got a trench coat around here somewhere so I can play the full-on part. We've had more guests today than ever, I think. I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
4 today?
No, it's
Britt,
like
Matt, Casey, and Aaron, 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. We were supposed to have Savannah too, but she ended up having a doctor's appointment, so she couldn't join us. It would have been 6. Yeah, that'd have been a record. 2 an hour.
Let's look at what the Spartanburgers quote.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. 1 minute.
Now I gotta get Britt Baker to follow me on Twitter. So we've had who? We've had Lance, we've had Britt, we've had Hardy. We were supposed to have Hangman, but they replaced him with Lance that time. I love Hangman Adam Page's story right now. And what a match that's going to be. Dark.
Well, I like part of the story, but you know.
Now, you know what I love about the story?
I'm anti-drunk. You know, I just can't. I think most people are actually, but
he has not been drunk.
No, he hasn't. You're right. You're right.
I love the fact that they didn't turn this into a he needs to quit drinking story more than a he needs to stop being afraid of failure and keep being himself story, which is such a great way to do that.
I'm going to look at it differently now.
Yeah, it's a great story. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's ESPN Upstate. Texter says, ESPN Rob, I met my first celebrity yesterday. ... Mark Ryan. You texting me that.
You know, speaking of
congratulations.
I want to throw a shout out to because I meant to do this earlier in case they're listening to the men and women who work at the Cracker Barrel in Simpsonville.
That's right. You said they said hi to you.
They did. Always enjoy being recognized, and
and recognized from
ESPN Upstate because
specifically
it's not trying to toot the horn or anything, but buddy. I get recognized for different things on different stations, and it's always, hey, are you? And I'm waiting to see from which station. Not that I will act differently. Well, maybe I will.
You will.
Maybe I will. Maybe I'll act a little more sporty for ESPN, a little more intelligent for WRD, and as nerdy as I possibly can. Lonzo? As nerdy as I possibly can for Upstate Paul.
Kidding me? A little smarter.
Yeah, for me. Not for I'm not questioning your intelligence.
What are you talking
I'll
about?
Never do such a thing. But anyway, thank you for recognizing me.
That's cool.
I apologize for not being as friendly as some other people are, but introvert, and I had a granddaughter who wanted me to eat the smoky chicken that I was eating just so she could yell it was hot, and then take drinks of her apple juice, which was a lot of fun.
Want to read this story before we hit to a break. The Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, Palm Beach County down in the great state of Florida. Listen to this story that they just tweeted out a few minutes ago this was on their Facebook account. Listen to this, and listen to the part in the middle specifically, Zoe. Palm Beach Sheriff's Office put on their Facebook post, quote, "We want to take a moment to recognize this local hero. Many of us have seen Tony pushing his lawnmower around the neighborhood, but on Monday, as he was walking to work, he saw a neighbor in need. The neighbor was in his car having a seizure. Without thinking twice, Tony ran up to the rolling car on Dunes Road and grabbed the fender to try and stop it from rolling down the street further. It ran over Tony's foot, but thankfully he had steel-toe boots on. The car finally stopped on a neighbor's lawn, but the windows were up and the doors locked. The driver was convulsing and was in terrible shape." Listen to this paragraph, Lonzo. "Tony screamed for help, asking and begging for someone to help. The owners of the house where the car stopped yelled at Tony, 'Get off our lawn, get that man out of here, have him die somewhere else,' end quote. A very sad moment for Tony, but he kept at it. Tony quickly realized he knew where the injured man lived. He ran down the street to their house, was able to get his wife, and they called 911 because of Tony's actions. We received a call yesterday from the man he helped. The man called us to ask for Tony's phone number. The man said, 'I want to talk to Tony. He saved my life,' a true neighborhood hero. Yesterday, the grateful man and his wife went and found Tony and gave him a hug. A person is having a seizure on this guy's front yard. And his response was the ultimate boomer Karen, get off my lawn. Literally, get off my lawn, followed by have him die somewhere else, end quote, according to the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office.
Unfortunately, those people are real and they're out there. I'd like to believe that they are few and far between. Unfortunately, we've found one and we know where they are. Come on, have some compassion. I wish I could say I was shocked, but I'm not. But I still would like to believe that there are more good people out there than there are people like that.
Unfreaking believable. Get off our lawn. Get that man out of here. Have him die somewhere else, says Alto Karen. What a world, man. I just like to point out that if you ever say something like this, I don't wish bad things on the bad people, Lonzo. I don't wish bad things on the people at all, except for this guy.
And see, I am the opposite. I hope that he sees the error of his ways.
Obviously, he's a therapist
and is able to find his heart.
Get off our lawn. Get that man out of here. Have him die somewhere else. Because my Bermuda grass is more important than that man's life. Unreal. Twitter trending topics up next on the Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate.
Just want to say, why do you bring a good show down like that? Why?
Because I had had to read those words, and I needed everyone else to suffer with me. Take us back out to break.
I'll make it better
Oh.
in Twitter trending topics. I
Can
promise.
we?
Buzzkill. Having a great show. Ton of good guests. And you've got to talk about bad people.
Oh, that stings. Ryan says, have him die somewhere else is an all-time lie. Yeah, it's an all-time something. Texter says, ESPN, I'm not sure how you don't go back to that person's house later and whoop their ass on their own lawn. Yeah, I don't know that I wouldn't, to tell you the truth. Violence isn't the answer until it is.
Yeah, well, except for how are you any better if you go and I mean.
Oh, I didn't say I want him to die on his own lawn. I just want him to realize what a terrible human he is. And unfortunately, there are some people who, no matter what they are called out for, just will never have that level of self-actualization, which is pathetic.
I figure out, why do I hear something coming from the office and you had the TV on?
Oh, yeah.
And then I looked at the TV and realized, oh, yeah, we got cable. Forgot about that. Something some other office can't say they have. I want to point that out. Wait till Diesel finds out he has to run downstairs to go to the restroom.
Cardio, bro.
Yeah, I would say for him, it shouldn't be that big of a deal, though. Starting to come down from the adrenaline a little bit now. Just a little bit. What I think is completely awesome is the fact that they both called in early.
Yeah.
Because that at least for me, eliminated some nerves. Like, oh, okay. Wow. I forgot to put in hour 2. I'll have to do that later. Probably should save it, though. So if you are on the stream and you're used to having the podcast, at certain times, I'm a little bit behind on hour number 2.
We were a little busy today.
Yeah, just a little bit.
It's
just a little bit. It's like, oh, I forgot to do that. But it will be up about, I don't know. The last 2 hours will be up about 3:15.
I'm gonna be up here till 9 o'clock tonight putting together stuff. I may come in tomorrow and get some stuff done.
It's a good time. Not too many people in here.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't. Well, might be in time to let the plumber in.
Demand for unskilled workers is sky high. Who wants that life? There's demand for hundreds of thousands of IT and cybersecurity professionals
professionals in the U.S. My Computer Career is training people to meet it. Get skilled. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. You can start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. Through July, grants covering up to 53% of the cost are available to those who qualify. It's not rocket science. Computercareer.edu.
This report is sponsored by expresspros.com. Looking for a job? Contact Express Employment Professionals and be part of their national hiring event. With one application, Express connects you with multiple employers and never charges a fee. Go to expresspros.com, find your nearest office, and call Express today.
It is time for Twitter trending topics. We need it more so than any other day after what Rob did right before we went to break. All right. The first thing that's trending is Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas, New Orleans Saints wide receiver, may miss the start of the NFL season. It was reported earlier today that he had ankle surgery back in early July or late June that may take more time to heal than they initially expected, meaning he could be out the first few weeks, which is not ideal for that football team with either Jameis or Taysom Hill getting the start without the number one wide receiver, arguably one of the top 3 receivers in the league right now, for a team that really needs to come out and set tempo early in the season for whichever of those 2 quarterbacks. It's going to be Jameis, but for whichever of those 2 quarterbacks gets the start, losing a powerhouse, especially a powerhouse red zone receiver like Mike Thomas, that's a big blow.
But at least the surgery was successful and he's healing fine. It'll just take a while to recover from that. And as you said, one of the best receivers in all of football. I'm sure he'll be back and he'll be fine. The next thing that is trending is He-Man.
I saw a meme going around earlier, but I don't know that is why it would be trending. I am going to go with there's a He-Man movie coming.
No, the He-Man series directed by Kevin Smith dropped today on Netflix. I've been talking about it for a while, and it is getting the Rotten Tomatoes loving it, and then fans or non-fans are coming at it. So it's one of those things. So if you are someone who trusts in that kind of thing, then how do you ever watch it? Just watch it yourself, and if you like it, good, and if you don't watch it.
I think Rotten Tomatoes is the best way to get a gauge on how good something is, as opposed to watching it yourself.
It's Botten Tomatoes, not Rotten Tomatoes, because bots are used by people who want to sway the voting one way or another to make it look like it's good in one way, and it's just I don't trust it. And there are a lot of things, and that's fine. And you're not the only one I know who goes by Rotten Tomatoes and loves it. I just rather would watch it myself.
I agree, but look, there's so much content being thrown at us in all different genres and stuff. I've got like 7 things on the list right now to watch. The Boys is on the list. I still got to see Black Widow. We and the girlfriend are going to watch it this weekend, by the way.
Yeah. Does anybody believe that?
No, because she told me. She's like,
okay.
we are seeing Black Widow this weekend. So, but there's so much out there that you kind of have to start. You have to prioritize what you are going to watch, right? Like you have to start prioritizing. And I think Rotten Tomatoes, I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm saying it is the best room anyway, because movie critics suck as a rule of thumb. They're so pretentious. Anyway, that's it for the week. Thank you guys, man. What an exhausting but tremendous week we had. Thanks to Matt Hardy, Dr. Britt Baker, Casey Milton, Aaron Walker, Rashad Beard for joining us. All the folks who made this past week up at North Carolina for the ACC kickoff possible. Appreciate you guys listening. None of this would work if it wasn't for you. Mean that. Love you. See you next Monday. For Lonzo, my name's Rob Brown. Enjoy your weekend. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. See you Monday on The Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Later.